Hello and welcome to Namaste Today Live. It's finally Friday. I am your host, Sensei Christopher, astrologer, psychic, mystic, friend to the world, and here to help you raise your vibration and ascend to the story you were born to live. We are currently streaming live right now on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X.com, and now officially on Instagram, which we are very excited to see a lot of people there on Instagram as well. Hello, my Instagrammers. We're grateful to have you here along with us. If you're in the super chat, which is this combined chat of all chats, thanks to this streaming software, say hello to us and tell us where you are streaming from. And let me just say hello to a few people here. Hello, my soul sister, Kristen Ryder. Hello, James. I can't see where you're coming from, but yes, it's been a crazy week. Sydney Aaron, always a pleasure to see you, my dear. Erica, I just saw you a few minutes ago. I see you again. Hello, Iggy. Thank God it is Friday. Sandra, so nice to see you, one of our knights in shining armor in the Facebook club. Nikki, also a pleasure, our star family. And we'll do one more here. CC in Colorado, CCC. It's an exciting time to be alive right now, my friends. I have so much to share with you. We are in the midst of the Pisces season. And this week on this show, we're going to talk about a few big things. One, a full moon in Virgo in less than 24 hours is going to give you an attitude adjustment. Details to come on that. Mercury, the Sun, and Saturn will have a party at step 9 Pisces on Thursday. And Mars will square Jupiter, squaring up self-worth with high vibration. Then later tonight on Astro Mingle, our spiritual talk show, I have a mystical treat for you. Hair shaman and Chiron communicator Karen Croney is here to talk about the asteroid comet Chiron and the consciousness that is alive in your hair. I can't wait to talk to her about that. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is from Saturday, February 24th to Friday, March 1st, 2024. Looking Virgo sets the tone for an evolution. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's cloudy with a chance of lightning. Step 5 means Mercury rules the day as the moon goes full early in the morning on Saturday. You are rewriting your mental reality with this full moon and shifting how you feel on the inside. And with Venus squaring Jupiter, you are reconciling this new cool vibe inside of yourself and a greater self-worth. On Sunday, it's sunny and practical. Step 6 means Venus rules the day, so you are opening up to accept and receive this new spiritual growth. And I believe that you are now believing in the new me. Looking ahead at the week forecast for the upcoming 5 days, over the course of this next week, you're going to take this new spiritual premise and you're going to grow it into a whole new spiritual timeline. On Monday, it's cloudy and juxtaposed. Step 7 means it is the Grandmaster step of Pisces. This is where your spiritual learning about your inner growth will come full circle. You'll also feel this new relationship as the moon moves from Virgo into Libra, and you will now be committing to faith over what you see in daily reality. On Tuesday, it's sunny and rather sober. Step 8 means Saturn rules the day, so our responsibilities come up to the forefront. It's now time to commit to this new spiritual lesson you have learned, and you are turning a corner on your self-worth and soul capital. With Mars squaring Jupiter, you're also reconciling your ego with your new worth. On Wednesday, it's sunny and strong. Step 9 means Mars is ruling this day. On this day, you are activating your new spiritual path. You could say putting your money where your mouth is. You will be feeling through the consequences, and we have a super stellium of 9s. Mercury conjoins the Sun, Mercury conjoins Saturn, and the Sun conjoins Saturn, sort of closing the deal. With the moon in Libra, you may have to struggle a little to stay in balance. On Thursday, it's sunny and determined. Step 10 means this is a day ruled by Mother Earth. The moon moves into Scorpio, which means you are also defining emotional boundaries. On this day, you're ultimately manifesting this new spiritual timeline and drawing some inner lines. And with Mercury sextiling Jupiter, now your mind is reconciling just how much you are worth on the inside. And then on Friday, it's sunny and crisp. Step 11 means Virgo rules this day. You'll be realizing your spiritual growth. You'll be feeling your frequency rise to a new level. The sun sextiles Jupiter, so now your new spiritual path is tied into your new self-worth. And with Venus sextiling Chiron, you realize you have healed past mistakes and you feel a green light to go forward.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
If you're watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Serious Joy TV. Hit the bell button so you're notified. And if you don't mind, please smash that like button right now so the YouTube algorithm will suggest us to other people who enjoy astrology. Namaste Today Live is sponsored by SeriousJoy.com. We are a life coaching company that uses your astrology to navigate your life. Right now, we are working on the 40 days of past lives and karma. We're just 5 days in, so it's not too late to sign up and catch up. This is an amazing program. In the first 11 days, we're doing some detailed journaling about our childhood. Why is that? Because your childhood is a reflection of your past lives. Then we're going to move into the aspects of your astrological chart that show and reveal your past lives and karma. We're going to use my proprietary step astrology system in order to analyze your astrology and your chart in ways that you never imagined. And at the same time, we have some phenomenal practitioners that are creating parallel content that raises your vibration. One, my soul sister, Kristen Ryder. She's doing a dodecahedron activation, which is basically a sound meditation every day to solidify and unify your past lives. We have Devin Dewar doing angel connections every day to help you identify and connect to your angel. And we're doing a karmic release lunar ceremony in the next 24 hours with artisan Joe Zammit. We are a team of light and we are here to help you ascend. Give it a try for just $3.99 at SeriousJoy.com. You will not be disappointed. And with that, I think it's time to move on to our planets and our transits. Loving the koi pond there. So Zen, Buddhist, Sensei. I actually communicated as goldfish to our graphics person, and she was like, those are koi. I was like, right, says Dr. Evil. How's everyone doing right now? Boy, I am having this interesting energy. I mean, first of all, I just want to put out there, I'm getting reports in just to kind of bring us together, our family of light here, that many people are having a bit of a release of sorts. Cold is going around. Anything that involves mucus and water and diarrhea and throwing up. I mean, I hate to be gross, but that's what's happening. People are expunging their past energetically. I'm also getting reports in of people sleeping like crazy, me included. Boy, I just don't want to get out of bed when the sun is in Pisces. I'm loving it. I think we're more into dream world than we are in waking world. And that's just part of the Pisces transit being energetically tied to our subconscious. So I just want to say that is absolutely happening. Let us know in the chat or in the comments if you're having that experience as well. But we are into the early degrees of Pisces, which normally is a sort of sleepy season, literally, because the Pisces state of awareness in the 12 states of awareness, which is what astrology is. Astrology are the 12 states of human consciousness. We are all signs. Okay. And we have all states of awareness. But when you were born in a given sign, it's that your heart wants to express that state of awareness the most. The Pisces state of awareness is the state of awareness that is connected to our subconscious, our psychic awareness, our soul and our spirit, our oversoul, and it is access to our highest self and also access to the collective, which is the angelic realm, the ascended master realm, and the big creator beings even above that. From what I understand, it's almost infinite. Like no one knows on the other side how high things go. Now, normally when we're in the Pisces transit, we're just sort of doing an update and a review where we are integrating our higher self with our lower self. Basically, if you're not a person who meditates or does readings for a living or connects to your higher self on a regular basis, then basically when Pisces comes around, it's sort of the universe giving you a shove and getting you back on track. On track meaning what your spiritual intentions were. The problem about being a human, and by the way, it's a problem, is the ego. The ego has a mind of its own. The ego is an earth-based, survival-based state of awareness. The ego is probably what's responsible for evil. I think something higher was coming through with that. And the problem with the ego is it allows you to just pay attention only to the present, right? And what's in front of us. And if you only focus on what's in front of you, you start to think that this is what life is. It's very easy to get carried off track with our ego. And it's easy to get caught in all sorts of conflicts with our ego. So when we come to Pisces every year, boink, it's the universe kind of connects us back to our spirit. And then we go to Aries, which connects us back to our ego. And between Pisces and Aries, we realign the higher self with what you could say is our earthly character or earthly perspective. Mine this lifetime is called Christopher Witecki. So with that said, this year, things are extraordinary because of a couple of things. Saturn in the sign of Pisces means that we are now taking responsibility, Saturn, and making decisions, Saturn, to end certain karmic timelines or spiritual timelines. A spiritual timeline is basically, let's say, a tour, a kind of an attraction that you sign up for when you come down to Earth that you want to experience once again what it's like to be a leader, or once again what it's like to be a family, have a large family, or once again to have to find your talents in some sort of challenge. And in this particular lifetime, because we're also alive during a Neptune transit in Pisces, all of us had one spiritual objective to do, which was to kind of close the circle and have a final lap or a victory lap on certain spiritual timelines that we had not finished. Another word for this is we came to close up our karma, which are our spiritual memories or our frustrations that we have about what we wanted to achieve. Well, for that reason, because Saturn is in Pisces and Neptune has been in Pisces since 2012, this year, when the sun moves into Pisces, it is not your average sleepy Pisces season where we are simply going to course correct. This particular season, from my calculations and my team's analysis at SeriousJoy.com, this season is where we will officially close the door on certain karma with ourself. Now, karma with the world, karma with daily life and others, you'll start to clear that this year, but you won't finish that till the next Pisces season. And karma with the world, you probably won't finish until 2026 energetically. That's just looking at where Saturn will be. So each year it's a little something different. This year, however, we are ready to end karma with ourselves. Now, what's karma with yourself? Oh, I always abandon myself. I fall into addictions. I tend to fall in love with the one that's wrong for me. I tend to be not focused and try to do too many things. All these different earthly things. We have these issues with ourself. And these issues with yourself really are the root intentions to your issues with the world. If you abandon yourself, well, then you're going to find yourself in relationships that take advantage of you, right? If you have addiction issues where you don't love yourself and instead you fulfill that love with some sort of substance or even work or even video games, addiction comes in all forms, well, then you're going to suffer your ability to do what you want on the planet or find someone that you love or express your talents. So really, you could say, even though Saturn's going to be in Pisces for some time, if you lick the karma with yourself right now in the next 3 weeks, really in the next 3 days, honestly, is what it's going to come down to. We'll talk about it this week. Then everything above that, all of everything that has bloomed out of that basic karma with yourself will start to naturally decay and fall away because you are getting rid of the root structure of that karmic issue. Because we have a karmic issue and then it grows into our life and then it grows into our community and it grows into our legacy. So we're literally doing some weed eating, if you will. I look at karma as the weed in your soul garden. It is the weeds, the karmic issues, the fears, the anxieties, the traumas that wrap themselves around your root structure and choke the life out of you. We are basically weeding our spiritual soul garden in the next few days. And this is it. From this point forward, this is why, as far as where life is going, people keep asking me, who's going to be the president? What's going to happen? Are the banks going to collapse? Is there going to be another virus X? All these questions come up whenever I'm in private consultation with clients. And I say the same thing. Depends on if people face their karma in the next 10 days. It all depends on if people face their karma. If Joe Biden faces his karma, if Donald Trump faces his karma, if RFK faces his karma. Honestly, I don't feel like the timeline has been written for where things will go, or I have another parallel idea here. I'm not sure which timeline you will end up on until you face this karma or don't face this karma with yourself. And so I have one clear message for you this week, and that message is what you think is wrong, no matter what it is. And what I'm speaking to really is the full moon we have tomorrow morning. I think it apexes at 7:20 a.m., if I'm not mistaken. 7:20 a.m. here in Eastern time. I just realized that I forgot to open up my files for something. So we'll have to do that live on the air. We'll have a little bit of a pause when I open that up to show charts. But that full moon tomorrow at 5 degrees Virgo is an attitude adjustment. So first of all, let's do a little backstory. The sun in Pisces is our soul. The earth is currently in Virgo. Okay. So the earth, the back of the earth, whenever the sun is up, you're facing Pisces, and whenever the sun goes down, you face Virgo. Okay. And that's how the earth is in this transit. Sun up, Pisces, sun down, Virgo. So we basically face these constellations. Whatever you face at night, which is the Virgo constellation, is what you are manifesting. So we manifest at night, just like our body heals at night while we sleep. So while we are creating this new spiritual story, we are overnight, like little elves making shoes, we are manifesting our reality. So your reality is Virgo. Virgo is the I become state of awareness. I should do this hand. Virgo is the I become state of awareness. Whatever you spiritually timeline you take, you manifest in Virgo reality. Well, the weird part about this time of the year is Virgo reality keeps repeating itself until it's interrupted by something. All right. And Pisces is now starting to broadcast a new message of, hey, I'm done with this addiction. I'm done with this self-hatred, self-loathing. I'm done with these low self-esteem issues. I'm done with this karma with myself. But Virgo is still playing the tune it's been playing since the last time you updated your reality. And by the way, the last time you updated your reality fully was actually in Virgo. So when the sun is in Virgo, that's when we do a full update of our reality. So your current mindset about yourself, the way you talk to yourself, the way you think about yourself, the words you use with yourself, the tone you take with yourself, your mental attitude is still programmed to the old spiritual timeline. And that means everything you think is wrong. And the thing about a mind is it's very repetitive. It is the most repetitive next to the moon. The moon zips around the earth every 28 days, Mercury around the sun every 88 days. Okay. So these are the most repetitive parts of our consciousness. We think it again, we think it again, we think it again, we feel it again, we feel it again, we feel it again. And what happens is if you don't concentrate on what you're thinking or don't concentrate on what you're feeling, then you'll just fall into the same thing you did last time the moon was in this sign or the last time Mercury's in this sign. So we tend to have very habitual thoughts and feelings. This is one of the biggest reasons why we can't change as humans, is because we're on this merry-go-round of thoughts and feelings. And until you go, get me off this ride, you don't actually change the way you think and feel. Meanwhile, your thoughts and feelings are constantly affirming what life is by repeating it over and over with a command, a command, a command. I feel this way, then life is this way. I think this way, then life is this way. I feel this way, then it's this way. So my point is that we're on this roller coaster of thinking, Mercury, okay? And we're on this roller coaster of feeling. And this full moon tomorrow is at 5 degrees Virgo, which means it's going to be the way you think, step 5, and feel the moon in reality. So what we are bucking in the next 24 hours is something is going to buck your mental system. buck the system. Something is going to rub up against the system. That might be tonight, maybe in this broadcast today, maybe in today's discussion, you will have something in your mind, but it's probably much more personal because step 5 is the way you think about yourself. And so I just want to put out there this idea that if you really are going to ascend to the next spiritual timeline, if you're going to take yourself to the next spiritual adventure on your bucket list, then everything you are thinking is wrong. Almost everything. That's not an exaggeration because logic has a logic tree. So some basic thoughts about yourself, this thought that I am weak, or a thought that I am worthless, or a thought that I am not lovable, I am not wanted, I am not special. These are thoughts that have fallen into your subconscious. You were told that at the age of 2 or the age of 4 by a mean babysitter, and your mind programmed it, and it came up every 88 days. You just kept repeating it. And then you started to expand in your logic tree of I'm not special. I'm not special. That means I won't get the job. That means I won't find the guy. That means I won't make the raise. So it starts to tree branch out this consciousness, this conscious mind tree, right? And so this root thought intention, there's a core idea in you, at least one. And we'll go over to where those thoughts reside in each of the 12 signs when I do the horoscopes. But there's at least one thought that is corrupting the whole mental tree structure inside of you. And when I say corrupt, it's not really corrupt. You were meant to think that way until now. So if you want to accelerate your personal growth, and if you want to ascend faster than anyone else, says the Net 9, making it a competition, let me just use that ego in order to make spiritual growth happen. That's the whole point. Let's chain the ego to spiritual growth. That's my solution to the ego problem. Then from this point forward, it's sort of like the Force and Luke Skywalker. You must search your feelings. Your feelings are more correct, probably for the next year at least, than your thoughts. Because the thing about a feeling is not the state of awareness of emotion, and a feeling is not exclusive. It's very hard to just feel anger. As soon as you feel the anger, it goes to the resentment, it goes to the rage, it goes to the childhood. Emotion is all interwoven and overlap and have dialectical relationships to each feeling. They overlap. You can't see where the beginning and the end happens in an emotional context. So when you feel your way through it, if you haven't identified a feeling specifically, your feelings will feel around that blind corner. Your feelings will feel over the obstacle. Your feelings will feel what's underneath the situation, because the sense of feeling is universal. It is not exclusive. It is not specific. It's not nano. It is not what a thought is. A thought is like picking up something with a tooth, with chopsticks. That's what a thought is. We just pick up one thought and we pick up another thought and we compare the two thoughts. It's sort of very surgical. Feelings are the entire room, the entire dimension, the entire place in space-time, the entirety. It's a biological sensation God gave us to navigate through our conscious reality. So going forward, and I would say, this is what I'll be coaching my subscribers at Serious Joy and reminding them every day. We must feel our way through it, basically, for the next 6 months at least, until we get to Virgo. We must feel our way through it. Now, what does that mean practically? It means when I say to you, what do you think about starting a new job? What I'm really saying is, what do you feel about starting a new job? What do you feel about going to the grocery store? What do you feel about bringing this person on in your company? What do you feel about the idea? You can feel an idea. What do you feel about the idea of you running for office? Don't think, because if you think, you're probably tying it to this old logic tree. And this full moon tomorrow, we're going to pull that bastard up. We're going to pull that bad root up that we created in childhood, but we created because of a past life. We had to relive this weed, this bush, if you will, this burning bush. We had to relive this, and now it's time for it to go. So one would say, and I would actually say, honestly, if you want to live enlightened, it's always feel before think. It's always feel. In the step system, one thing the step system taught me, because I downloaded it, I actually downloaded it from an angel, Archangel Ratziel to be specific. I'm going to be honest about that now. Now that we're entering into the new era, it's time to just be full on open and transparent. And the angels were telling me, particularly Ratziel was telling me, it goes like this, and all the 20s are master degrees. I was like, huh, the 20s are master degrees. Okay, what's master about it? And then I came to realize at some point, like, oh, they all start with two. They all start with feelings. Oh, a master of consciousness rules from their feelings. A elementary person from consciousness rules from their boundary, step 0. A proficient person in consciousness manifests from step 1, their heart, but a master rules their consciousness from everything they feel. Makes total sense when you feel about it, because when you feel, when you come from the place of feeling, you are including everything in your conscious process. If you come from the version of thinking, it's just one piece of rice and one piece of rice. It's just chopsticks picking up, a couple pieces of rice. I saw a comedian recently. I can't remember who it was. It was so funny where he's talking about like, he was just talking about Asian cultures. He's like, why haven't they upgraded to forks? Like they're still eating rice by rice. What is it like? What's so attractive about it? But I think it's actually quaint and beautiful. I had a past life in Japan, so I remember the chopstick thing very well. So where does that bring us, my friends? Well, that brings us to a fact that we are now in the first chapter of the sun in Pisces. And so today is step 4. So today, I don't know if you have already, today you might have realized that you had to get on the side of your heart somewhere. So somewhere in your life, you weren't on the side of your heart, which, by the way, is the core mistake we all make. It is the only mistake you can really make in life is to not be on the side of your heart. So if you're on the side of your heart, you're on the process of spiritual art. So heart leads to art. It leads to you being a spiritual artist in life. And so today you might have realized, I haven't really been, I haven't been on the side of my heart. I haven't been on the side of what my heart wants. And I had this realization myself too, by the way. I am planning, just so you know, we are planning an event in May called Unite the Light. Why isn't it up yet and ready for sale? Because I realized I was planning it from my mind and not my heart. I realized I wasn't on the side of my heart. I was planning it power for power's sake. I was trying to make the best event you've ever been to and all these different things. And I was like, wait a second. I caught myself like, oh, I'm actually engineering this from power for power's sake. It was my realization. So I was like, all right, erase. We started completely over with the whole concept. My guides are like, no, it has to happen. It's going to happen. So it's going to happen, folks. So just putting it out there. It's going to be last minute. We'll see who has the ability to get there, but it's okay. It's going to be an annual event. That's why I'm doing it right from the very first seed that I plant. But I'm just sharing that as a transparent example of discovering where, I wasn't on the side of my heart. I got fooled by my ego just playing life from the present. I got fooled from just playing the game right here, not playing the game from here, what my heart has to say. So today we're at step 4. Tomorrow is step 5. And in essence, this week, what we're going to do is we're going to basically activate our spiritual growth. In fact, that is the theme of the week. This week, the theme of the week is activating spiritual growth. Now, I say activating spiritual growth because you're really just replacing that magic bean, all right? Once you have that root intention of a new way of thinking of yourself and being on the right side of your heart, that will grow into a new structure of consciousness, branching off into different directions, turning into leaves that then bloom flowers and seeds into other growth. So it's the beauty of spiritual nature unfolding. And what we activate this week is we basically plant the new seed. We kill off the old branch tomorrow with the full moon. Full moons are destructive. We kill off the old branch. We plant the new seed, and then we activate this new growth, this new spiritual direction. When will reality match our seed? In Virgo, in September. So Virgo is harvest. Harvest is in September in the Northern Hemisphere. I know the Southern Hemisphere plant seeds then. We're mirror opposites of each other. But you will, so basically realize that the spiritual intentions to be nice to myself, the spiritual intention to be on the right side of my heart, the spiritual intention to think of myself highly and more valuable, this intention will not grow into into something you can pick, fruit that you can pick until Virgo. All right. It'll take that long. So I'm giving a nice context of how long it takes. Now, the subplot of the week is affirming true worth as real. Affirming true worth as real. So we are affirming our true worth. And this affirmation I'll talk about with actual planets and actual charts, star charts that I'll show you. That will actually come from a couple of things that we have happen, namely Mars squaring Jupiter and the Sun sextiling Jupiter this week. We also have Mercury sextiling Jupiter. So those aspects alone are us realizing like, oh, not only am I in this new spiritual timeline, but I'm worth more too. I feel more valuable. And I don't know if it's that we feel more valuable or we have thrown over our spiritual ship. The part that was causing debt in us. You know, doubt is debt. So if you have energy where you go, I'm going to be this, but I don't know if I can, you basically create a spiritual debt. Your energy gets retrograded is actually the best word. Your energy gets retrograded back into yourself if you have doubt. And doubt, by the way, is a child of fear. So the only reason why we ever doubt anything is because we're afraid of something happening. And if you give your energy to doubt and fear, then you retrograde your energy back into yourself. It's like an ingrown toenail, basically, and you end up infecting yourself versus growing strong. So I think what's going to happen is once we pull out this bad seed, this bad root intention, this negative root intention, let's call it negative, not bad, disease, let's call it. Then suddenly we've removed doubt. And removing doubt then allows you to perk up. And perking up realizes, oh, that's where I affirm that I am worthy. I do have potential. So I am predicting a self-esteem inflation, good inflation, happening in the next 7 days. Now, the key question of the week is, what is unbecoming? What is unbecoming? There are parts of reality that, frankly, are unbecoming of us. All right. There are basically parts of your life that have flowered into things that are not what you want to become. That's what I'm using unbecoming as. It has other definitions, but to me, I did not want that to become. I didn't expect this to become an addiction. I didn't expect this to become my downfall. I didn't expect this to become drama in the house. So you're going to realize also, once you identify that weed in your soul garden, you're going to realize, oh, that has turned into something very unbecoming. And so, be prepared for a little ugly in the sense that once you see, you can't unsee. Okay. And welcome to a Virgo's life. Once you see, you can't unsee. I don't think a Virgo can unsee stuff. Virgos are so good at pointing out stuff that you can no longer unsee. Like, damn it, Virgo, I was ignoring that. And you had to point it out. That spinach in my teeth. So this is a week of realizing what is unbecoming, what doesn't work anymore, what needs to go out of our soul garden, out of our lives energetically. All right, so let's take a look at the planets themselves. And I do have a printout here somewhere. This is going to be kind of a live one. Here we go. All these notes. I prepare like a Virgo for my shows, just so y'all know. It is detailed. It's like a Bible. All right, let's start with Pisces itself, the energy of Pisces. In the energy of Pisces, right now we have the Sun, we have Mercury, we have Saturn, and we have Neptune in Pisces right now. The Sun this week goes from step 5 tomorrow to step 11 next Friday. And just so you know, 5 to 11. So, okay, let's back up a little bit. Step 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, that's protection, love, emotion, belief, and belonging. Those 4, really it's the first 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Those are the chestnut. That's the actual seed. What you protect or don't protect, what you love or don't love, what you feel or don't feel, and what you consequently believe or don't believe, that is basically your timeline. So the seed of a timeline is based on 4 states of awareness: Scorpio, Leo, Cancer, and Sagittarius. Scorpio, Leo, Cancer, Sagittarius form the seed of what we call our perspective or our reality. Everything from that seed is then a reflection of that seed. So what you protect, love, and feel and believe determines where you belong, which then determines what you think, which then determines what your relationships are, which then determines what you have faith in, what you command and decide, what you act on, what you manifest, and who you become. So everything is a child of those 3, of 4, really. Now, today we're at step 4. So today you're already realizing where you belong. Tomorrow, you will then change what you think. Once you change what you think, thinking and emotion are the 2 fastest states of awareness. Once we get our mind off of that damn carousel that's going too fast in circles, then we can now regrow our conscious tree into a whole new garden of Eden, if you will. So this week, the sun basically carries out that seed all the way to step 11, all the way to basically the first branches of your conscious tree, if you want to put it that way. So we basically have the branches of our conscious tree built by the end of this week. What this comes down to is the heart making choices. So if you're not familiar, the heart will choose, hey, just like a child chooses, do you want a Tootsie Roll or do you want a lollipop? Reality is going to be the same way. But this week, your heart's going to have to choose the new life inside of yourself, or the new way of thinking, the new way of relating, step 6, that will be on Sunday, the new faith, which is going to be on Monday, the new decision making, which is on Tuesday, the new actions and behavior that you will choose, which is on Wednesday, who you're going to manifest as, which is on Thursday, and what you become, which is next Friday. So next Friday, I'm expecting everyone to be basically in this new feeling that they have become someone new. So this is a week of metamorphosis, and it comes from the heart making different choices. All right. So if you just choose differently, you'll be out of the karma. Okay. And that's the first step. If you choose perfectly, then you're out of the karma and you've made the right spot. But you don't have to have perfect. You just have to have different. So choosing differently is different. So you'll have choices of how you think tomorrow, choices of how you relate on Sunday, choices of what you put your faith into on Monday, etc. Now, Mercury this week goes from step 2 to step 13 Pisces. So what's interesting is tomorrow, in fact, I should look at that and see exactly where Mercury is tomorrow, and I will here in a minute. Tomorrow, Mercury will already be ahead. And let's just take a look at that. I'm going to do that right now. Pardon me. I'm going to do a tiny little entertain yourself for a moment where I open up stuff because I failed to do it before class. I was going to say class. Isn't that funny? Before class. I forgot to before class. All right, here we go. So looking at the new moon chart, it looks like the full moon. Oh, Mercury's at 2. Okay, great. So tomorrow Mercury's at step 2. So tomorrow that's amazing. So Mercury's thinking about your feelings and the moon is feeling about your thoughts. That's crazy. I love the step system. That's so crazy. So that is a total like chocolate in my peanut butter in my chocolate. That tells you it's going to change right there. They're each like crossing and holding hands like that with the step numbers. So basically you start to think differently tomorrow, and then you will then craft that new logic all week, all the way up to step 13 on Friday. And at step 13 on Friday, your mind's gonna be going, well, if I'm new, why am I tolerating this shift in life? So by next Friday, you're going to look at your life and go, no, none of this will do. None of this will do. Okay. Now, Saturn, of course, is still in Pisces, but Saturn is at step 9 all week long, which basically these planets here, the sun and Mercury, are in orb of Saturn the whole time. So Saturn's at the top and the sun and Mercury are moving up towards Saturn. So you may feel this sort of like burden of responsibility on your shoulders this week. You might feel like life is a bit of a burden. You might feel yourself nagging at yourself or being short with yourself, because we are, Saturn is sort of cross-armed kind of making us say, come on, grow up, Witecki, let's do this. You know, you're better than this. So the good news is we do have that drill sergeant Saturn sort of over our shoulders. And Saturn is saying, don't show, do. Don't talk, do. Okay. So there is this commandment to do, which means put it into motion, make it happen. There's no time like the present. But with Saturn at 9 is more like you should have done this yesterday. So Saturn can be honest that way. Neptune at step 26 is basically holding space for if you do all this, okay, if your heart's in the right place, if your mind's in the right place, if you take responsibility for change, Saturn at 9, then you will win this prize right here. This blue pearl known as your destiny, Neptune, at step 26, net 8. So in essence, you could say the universe is literally giving us the conscious scaffolding, Saturn and Neptune, to remodel ourselves on the inside and transform ourselves, which is terrific. Now, back in Aquarius, there's still quite a party going on. I don't know if you caught the news, but Pluto moved to step 1 last week, actually this week. I'm getting lost in time here. When did it move to step 1? I think it just moved yesterday. Yeah, just moved yesterday. So the conscious door closed. Pluto moved to step 1 Aquarius for the first time since 1777. I love all the sevens in that. And that means we are now changing the dynamics of self-love. And it's now time to elevate and ascend your self-love. I had a meeting today with some VIP clients, and I was talking about how we as light workers are not really used to a lot of self-love. We usually give it away. Oh, I've had enough. Oh, no, thank you. You go first. And the thing is like, I'm not saying don't be nice to others, but I'm saying the amount of self-love it's going to take for you to ascend is going to be ridiculously uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You basically talk to your local Leo. They're very good at this. That's what they're experts at. They'll tell you how to soak up the attention. Okay. But for the rest of the 11 states and 11 signs, we've got to learn how to basically be sort of Leo-like. And ironically, even Leos are being called to love themselves higher too. So it's about to get supernova. Put on your sunglasses. But it is time to raise the self-love vibration now. And you can't go too high with self-love. You just can't. Self-love is inner, by the way. It's not outer. A lot of people tell me, oh my God, I'm spending tons of money on myself. I just took 5 selfies. Anything outside of you is not really self-love. It might be, but it's not the self-love we're talking about. Self-love is on the inside. So it's like you say nice things to yourself. You encourage yourself. You're compassionate with yourself. You know what? Go to the 40 Days of Past Life and Karma on my site. Look at step 1's questions. The questionnaire I give for self-love is so detailed. You will know with precision if you love yourself or don't love yourself. I outline it to Virgo detail as far as the quality of self-love or not. So it's time to raise the self-love for the whole week. Don't stop. It's never enough. Never. It's never enough because Pluto's going to keep going higher. All right. It's not going to stop at 1. Now, Venus is between 9 and 17 degrees this week. Mars is between 8 and 13 degrees this week. So our divine feminine and masculine is in fact moving up the degrees in Aquarius, which means that we are going for opening up and accepting a new frequency inside ourselves. So the Pisces is sort of Pisces is the soul. So our soul is changing. Okay. And as our soul changes, what it's going to do, our vibration, how we are humming and vibrating also has to change to upgrade to this new inner soul thing. So this is why people are having a lot of health issues right now, because your spirit and your vibrations are all changing now. And your body is used to the old soul agenda and your body is used to the old frequency. And so the body is very uncomfortable right now. It's basically going through a sort of like plastic surgery, but spiritual plastic surgery. But Venus is actually leading the way. She's now ahead. By the way, divine feminine is now winning the race. Venus is ahead of Mars. So our feminine energy now leads. That means we open first and then we arrive. We open and then we arrive. Okay. That's before when Mars is in first, we pushed and then we opened up. Now it's reversed. That happened last week when they conjoined on yesterday. They conjoined at step 6. But it does mean now it is time to open up and accept this new frequency and then start to dance at that frequency with Mars. So putting that in more plain English for people, because I know I can be out there at times, well, all the time, frankly. What it means is you got to go ahead and play the part. So feel the vibration, play the part, be that success now. Start to feel what that's like. Try on the energy of your success. Try on the energy of the goal you're aiming to be. Walk around like you are, already a hit star, or you already are the owner of a successful business, or you already are. Become that vibration. Becoming that vibration is the earth timeline shift. So you can have a spiritual timeline and you have an earth timeline. The earth timeline shift is happening with Venus and Mars. The spiritual timeline shift is happening with the sun and Pisces. Now, emotionally, the moon this week goes from Virgo to Libra to Scorpio. We're in Virgo Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So Saturday and Sunday and Monday is going to be sort of like the Incredible Hulk. Don't make me angry, but like I think it's going to be that where we are just like our whole body is just going to be not fun. I'm actually starting a cleanse tomorrow. Holy shift. I just realized I'm starting a cleanse in Virgo. Of course, I'm starting a cleanse in Virgo. Why would I do that? I don't know. God hates me. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, yeah. So we're going to be hyper aware of our body for 3 days. And I don't think our body is going to be very happy. You want to just kind of go with the flow, drink lots of water, be flexible, take time off. You're basically being forced to change your skin, because to match your vibrational shift. Yeah, because I do know. You're right, Erica. I do. Something in me knows. But then the moon goes into Libra. So after going through like basically, a crash diet is what it's going to feel like for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Then in Libra, we then go back and forth and we sort of weigh like, how is this going to happen? Is this going to work? Do I feel like this is the way? This is why we have to feel our way through it, because it's sort of like Goldilocks, right? Who's looking for the porridge that tastes just right. That's sort of what you're doing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You're like, I'm kind of a jerk, but I'm not. Or I'm kind of like a savior to myself, but I'm not. Like there's this yes and no, yes, but no, kind of going back and forth with trying to. And what's happening during those days is you are committing to the new spiritual timeline. You are acting on the new spiritual timeline. You're moving forward the new spiritual timeline. So that's what's happening during the course of that. And then really, life has changed because on Thursday, the moon goes into Scorpio, which is step 10. And then on Friday, when we become the new soul, that's step 11. So in step 10, 11, when we manifest to become the new soul, of course, the moon's in Scorpio, officially closing the door to the old feelings and opening the door to the new feelings. So I would say it's an emotionally uncomfortable week. Yeah, not going to be comfortable. But in Virgo, Black Moon Lilith, Black Moon Lilith this week is at step 16. So you literally are 16 nets to a 7, literally are facing fears and trauma about daily life. So I think the worry question is, will it all work out? Will we all be okay? Will things work out to my favor? I mean, I think these are the kind of questions. And remember that fear creates doubt. So when I say trauma and fear, it's also doubt, facing your doubts, facing your insecurities, facing your anxieties about it all working out. So if you're not worried about it working out, then you're really not facing your worries. And maybe you should worry, not worry, but you should look why you're not worried. Maybe you've worked through it. If you are, kudos to you. High five. You're doing better than I am. Now, moving into the sector of Taurus, Jupiter this week moves from step 10 to step 11 Taurus. And this is great because Jupiter at 10 has been manifesting our ability to create this new self-worth. And so all this check-in, that Mars square Jupiter on Tuesday is the check-in. And then after it does it, it moves to 11 almost immediately after, is the check-in of like, wow, now that I've eliminated this debt, now they've eliminated this doubt, now they eliminated this fear and insecurity, I've got rid of my ingrown toenail, so to speak, toenail being a alliteration of Pisces, the foot, by the way, if you wonder why I'm going there. Now they get rid of the ingrown toenails, which is basically karma gone wrong. I can really become step 11, this new wealthy person. So we're developing spiritual wealth this week, spiritual wealth, which I call soul capital. That's my term for spiritual wealth. And yes, you can actually spend your spiritual wealth anywhere in reality, in any manifestation. I find that relationships, jobs, manifestations, they all take the Soul Capital credit card. So you'll be able to apply that Soul Capital credit to anything in life. And by the way, this is it. Your new Soul Capital credit rating is set by step 11. It goes there on Tuesday. That's when your Soul Capital credit rating is set up. And from that credit rating, which is the way you rate yourself, by the way, there are no outside credit ratings when it comes to God, then you will reach the ability to go spend Uranus at 19 degrees, which means manifestation is going to be through the roof. I'm super excited. Then lastly, the Aries constellation. We have Chiron and the North Node in Aries. Chiron finally moves from 16 to 17 this week. That happens on Saturday, tomorrow, which means we're no longer healing the jackass moment, which is what we've been doing up until now. So interestingly enough, after this full moon and this mind shift that we have tomorrow on the full moon in Virgo, we have then officially healed the jackass. That's the last of the jackass that we have. I talked about that in last week's show. And then we start to face times where we made the wrong decisions in life. So if you start to have any kind of worries about having made the wrong decision, that's probably the fact that Chiron's gone to 17 degrees and now you're facing karma of times when you chose wrong. By the way, with the South Node in Libra, that would include making the wrong choice in relationships and facing the karma of having married the wrong person, partnered with the wrong person, etc. So if you find yourself being a little paranoid about that, it's probably because you have some karma there and whatnot. All right, and that brings us now to my screen share, which, as I said, I need one moment to prepare because I didn't quite have it ready before the show. So someone play some nice, what's the word, elevator music while I do this. 1 second. Do. Here we go. We are almost there. All right. Yes. Sometimes I have so many details that sometimes I forget the details. That's just part of being amazing. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Later tonight, I'm super excited. Karen Croney's here. Check out her hair. Isn't it fabulous? Leah Rising in me is like, meow, meow. She's a hair specialist. She is basically a hair guru. She calls herself a hair shaman. But she's not going to just talk about hair. She can talk about Chiron, which is amazing because Chiron is the planet, one of the biggest karmic planets there are, and we're facing karma right now. So I can't wait to talk to Karen later on tonight. The first chart is the full moon in Virgo. This happens, of course, 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. As you can see, we got a party going on here in Pisces. Mercury at 2. So we're thinking about our feelings, okay? And we're feeling step 2, our thoughts. That's what I was talking about. Thinking step 5 is to the 2 and the 2 is to the 5. I love that. I just love it when the plan comes together. But energetically, and of course the sun is at 5. So this is your mind and your heart getting a new mindfulness of a mindful full moon. Saturn at 9 is saying, let's do this already. Okay. And make this happen. And so this full moon is really the release of that. Just so you know, there could be some fear come up. Black moon Lilith at 16 degrees, Virgo, some fear of having, I have some karma here going on. Juno at 15 says, let's make nice with all relationships now. When you oscillating Lilith is at step 14. So when you think about life, that's what triggers you, FYI. The other interesting part here about this is the stellium over in Aquarius at the time of the full moon. Pluto at 1, love yourself more. Mars at 8, commit to your new vibration. Venus, open up to your new vibration. So this is the new mindset and the boogie that goes with the new mindset. That is, of course, tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time. Jupiter at Grandmaster 10. We have both net 10s here. Jupiter at 10, Uranus at 19, net 10. So we are manifesting. This is all instant manifestation. As soon as you change the karma, it immediately begins to bloom, FYI. No. Also happening on Saturday, that night, Venus squares Jupiter. So Venus at step 10 squares Jupiter. This is part of the affirming my true worth. So it's like, oh, now that I pulled that weed out of my soul garden, I'm starting to feel like I am the shift. Watch out. Here I come. Meow. says a Leo rising. So energetically, I think you start by 11, you start to feel the first side effects of the full moon. We go to step 24, Saturday 25, 26. I'm going through all of them here because I didn't sort through them before. Monday's Grandmaster step 7. So when you hit step 7, the new spiritual story is officially in place. So basically, you get rid of the old mindset on Saturday. And then by Monday, we hit step 7. Now you're basically in the new spiritual vibration, the new spiritual story. The moon will then move into Libra, where you start to try on that new relationship with yourself, feel how that feels. Tuesday, Mars squares Jupiter. So now the ego is going, oh my goodness, I'm really starting to think like I am the shift. And really what's happening with the square to Jupiter, Jupiter's saying you're worth more, so act like it. That's basically what these squares are. You're worth more, so act like it, feel like it, sing like it, vibe like it, dress like it. Let your vibration match your soul capital, the credit you give yourself on the inside. Then we get to Wednesday, hump day, and this is when we start this fireworks show here at step 9. The sun at 9 is like, okay, it's time to act on. It's time to let's do this. Let's live this new spiritual story. So you basically activate the story. Let me just tell you this. On Wednesday, if you behave the old way, shift will hit the fan. Okay. And that shift will be Saturn. Saturn will slap you upside the head. And what does that mean literally? It means someone calls you a jackass. You get outed at work. Your email gets forwarded to everyone. You're not going to win this one. This is a gang up of the Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury all in one 9 here. This is a super 9, okay, which basically means action. If you were shooting a film, this is where it all goes into action, which means if you behave counter, you're going to get slapped in the face. Okay. It's like a butterfly in a hurricane. You're going to get blown all over the place if you don't stay on point as of Wednesday. And this would be with yourself, by the way. I'm not talking about with the world. I'm talking about with yourself. You don't go there. You don't act like that anymore. You don't tell yourself that anymore. Jupiter is now, you are becoming this new self-worth. All right. And of course, it's on hump day. How many people have been with me long enough to know it's always on freaking hump day? God is just so perfect. Now, also, then happens is Mercury conjoins the sun, and then the sun conjoins Saturn later. I'm going to go higher here. So basically, the sun and Mercury pass up Saturn, and the sun conjoins Saturn. So one by one through Wednesday, by 4:25 p.m., this is where you get caught in the hurricane if you don't behave with yourself. Then we have on Thursday, Mercury sextiles Jupiter. So this is where your mind is like, oh my God, I think I have soul capital. I think my soul capital credit rating just went up. So you realize on Thursday, you are worth more. You've now got the platinum soul credit card, and you are now ready to start making some purchases on life changes. So I'm expecting on Thursday, you start to go, this isn't going to do anymore. I'm done with this life. I'm done with this relationship. I'm done with this. I'm worth more than this. So with the South Node in Libra at 15 degrees, that is the degree of relationships, by the way. And notice the North Node just went to that as well. Actually, I forgot to put that on my spreadsheet. Darn it. But that's okay. We caught it here live. The North Node goes to 15. So at this point, this is really interesting. Do we have time for this? We do. This is really interesting. The moment I get my shift in order, remember Wednesday was the day you launched it all with that party going on at that party of the 9s. Okay. Party of the 9s. When that party of 9 happens, that's when God says, okay, all people who are not in the 9s out of my life. So the South Node at 15 literally is the breakup degree. This is where we will break up. Not just break up with people, break up with alcohol, break up with substance, break up with certain, maybe pharmaceuticals that are actually bringing you down. Everything starts to break up with the South Node of Libra, and we begin new relationships with the North Node of 15 in Aries that are in concert with us healing and making the right decisions. Remember I said Chiron at 17 is having made the wrong decisions in relationships. That's because of that right there. Chiron conjoining the North Node at 15. 15 is a number of relationship. 17 is decisions. So it's like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm never going with that again or with that person again or whatever. So I do think that we start to have a huge separation of parties. Then on Friday, 1 week from today, when March 1st, the sun sextiles Jupiter. And that's when your heart goes, holy shit, we are going shopping, girl. I feel my new soul capital and I want. I said the Taurus, I want. So this is going to be actually now on a personal level, this is going to feel amazing. I think next Friday is going to feel amazing because if you've done the work, you're just going to feel like you're in integrity. It's sort of like the feeling of Virgo has when they've cleaned their whole house, they've remodeled it, they've got it all painted, and they can't find one speck of dust, and the dustbuster is fully charged. It's that sort of weird satisfaction. 11 is the sign of Virgo. That's when it is complete. That is when we are there. All right. It's going to be great. And then Venus sextiles Chiron a little later. And that's when we go, oh no, I am making some different decisions now. Venus is like so by the way, Mars and Venus have now moved up in the teens. And so once Mars and Venus moved into the teens, we start changing the vibration of our life. So let's see, when does that happen exactly? That happens, I'm just going back in time. Very early on, basically early in the week. Okay, so Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, as of Sunday, really, Sunday doesn't count. Is this Monday? Yeah. So come Monday, you start wanting to change the vibe of your daily life. You want to start changing the way your life feels come Monday. And so you've got your inner vibe. You're walking like Staying Alive, like the Bee Gees. What is it? John Travolta and Staying Alive. You're doing that strut. I'm thinking of that Staying Alive song. Like, so I look at Mars and Venus together. It's totally like Bee Gees Staying Alive, Staying Alive, Staying Alive. We're all going to be doing kind of feeling that way, kind of this disco. And you're going to start to realize from Monday until Friday, you're going to be looking around your whole life and going, nope, I don't like the vibe of that. I don't like the vibe of that. That must go. This must go. It's a flash clearance sale. Let's get rid of it. So expect to be unhappy with your entire life this week, but that's a good thing. It's because it's the old life and it's no fun anymore. All right. So I'm sure you're wondering, well, shit, Sensei, what does it have to do with me? Good question. Go steep yourself some tea. Let's have our weekly tea time. Welcome to our Tea Time Horoscopes. This is where I get down and deep about you and what you are going through this week. Let me just find my notes. I've got notes everywhere coming out of my you know what. We are going to be talking about this week. First of all, if you don't know, we do a release of the horoscopes on Tuesday. That's what you can show other people to. If you want to show them their horoscope, it just gets cut out by our editor, Adam, who's fabulous, by the way. Shout out to Adam. It gets cut out and put on our YouTube page so you can go look at your horoscope again. I am recommending now. So as we move into emotion as mastery, all right, I'm having a complete change. I used to say, don't bother about looking for your moon sign in the horoscopes. Doesn't do any good. I erase. I disagree with that. I now realize that looking at the moon, your moon sign's horoscope, does give you a fidelity of the emotions you're going to go through. And remember, emotions every 28 days. So if you want to understand your emotional cycles, then watch for your moon sign. So I say sun sign, rising sign, moon sign is what I believe. I think that's the direction to go and feel out what's going to happen. I'm going to need a lot of water today. All right. So we're going to talk about in this week's horoscope, the full moon and the full moon in Virgo. So I'm going to talk about where in Pisces, where in your life you are shifting your spiritual perspective. So it's a shift in spiritual perspective. And then I'm going to talk about the full moon in Virgo, where you must have a mental shift, your mental perspective. So we're shifting mental and spiritual perspective. Now, one could argue, since the brain is both logical and intuitive, that you're basically having a brain reboot. that happens over this full moon. It's a brain reboot. The logical, which is the full moon in Virgo, the spiritual intuitive, which is the sun in Pisces. So this is a tug of war between the logical and the spiritual. Spiritual wins that tug of war and tells the smartass, which is what I call lovingly the mind, that smartass to get rid of that line of thinking and now go with what the intuitive side has to say. So I'll be telling you, where is your spiritual shift? Where is your logical shift? Then I'm going to talk about Mars in Aquarius. That is the staying alive vibration I was talking about when you strut your stuff, where you must now boogie to the new vibration in your life, where you must up the vibe of your vibration, and where that ties into an area of your life you are feeling self-worth, or where your soul capital. In a way, you could say, I'm going to tell you where to shift your frequency and where your soul capital card is located in your wallet. Where in your life is that soul capital card? And as always, we'll put over here what sign we're talking about. So you can either click on the link that Iggy always does for us, which is so nice, man. Thank you for doing that. I'm so burned out after the show. I just can't do something like that. So thank you. But we will either click on the link in the first posted comment, or you can just zip in the timeline to the astrology sign. Starting with the Trailblazers, the Aries. Aries, you are shifting spiritual perspective, period. So this is a major shift. We may have Aries coming out of this particular full moon converting to Judaism or something. Like you might completely change your entire world of faith. We may see atheists becoming diehard Christians. We may see Christians becoming Buddhists, dogs and cats living together. It's going to be crazy. Okay. Like things you haven't really thought before. So the reason why it's such a big shift for Aries is because they don't normally change their essence. They don't normally change this. They are all about right here, what's in front of them. So they don't normally end up changing that. So this is a big deal for them because Aries they do change, but not easily. So this is a change of your spiritual perspective on life. Maybe I will succeed. Maybe I'm not doomed. Maybe I do have what it takes. A major spiritual shift. I can't say it enough. Now, where your mental attitude has to change is in your day-to-day life in the moment. If you are grumpy all the time or edgy all the time or jumpy all the time, a lot of Aries will hump your leg. They're very bouncy. They're always moving. They're either at rest or they're pumping basically, or like scattering around the world. It's so funny. They're like, can't sit down and be quiet, or they're asleep in the rocking chair. But your attitude about health, about stress, your attitude in the moment has got to change. Okay. It has got to change. You cannot have that attitude in the moment anymore. That attitude is killing you, Aries. It's killing you. And it's probably driving people around you crazy. I know people married to Aries. I'm just saying. Now, Mars in Aquarius says, it is time to strut your stuff in public. So it is time to become a cool, all right, a cool, I'm not going to say sheep, a cool ram, okay? Time to slick the wool back and be very cool. Time to strut your stuff when it comes to the world, among friends, start putting yourself out there, testing the waters, you know, really playing the game, playing the role. Start to play the role you intend to play in life. Now, this must be reconciled with the fact that you have more soul capital. Your soul capital is basically in your self-worth. I think the difference is you're now going to give yourself more credit, and I think you're going to get rid of certain doubts that you might have. So I think that Aries are going to really come out looking good. And for those who are in a relationship with Aries, I bet you see a real physical shift in the way they act in public, probably by this time next Friday. That's what I'm just saying out there. Yeah. All right. Taurus, the master builders. Taurus, you are ending a spiritual perspective about who you are to yourself as a friend, how you basically vibe with yourself. And I know that sounds a little crazy or a little complicated, but and it has to do who you are to yourself in public. So when you're in public, are you ignoring yourself, only worrying about others? When you're in public, are you focused on the quality of the linen instead of yourself? When you're in public, are you caring for yourself in that moment, or are you losing yourself? Are you signing up for things that are too much for you? Are you taking on too much responsibility? Well, then you're not a very good friend to yourself. All right. So your spiritual perspective shift is that you will learn to be a better friend to yourself. All right. When you're in the company of others, that's what it comes down to. And where the attitude shift has to be is with self-love. I think Tauruses are pretty guilty of equating self-love with material. You quite often think self-love comes down to fabrics, the opposite or same sex, depending on whatever you happen to be excited about. But usually, let's put it in the flesh. You tend to use flesh as a way of going, look at this flesh I'm next to. Look at how good I am. Or you will raise your self-love by spending money on yourself and things like that. And Taurus, that's not what self-love is. Self-love is before you even get out of bed in the morning. Self-love is how you respond to yourself on the inside with your thoughts and whether or not you care about yourself. That's where self-love is. It's not in the material. You can have the material, but after you've loved yourself, that's what it's saying. So this is an attitude change, attitude adjustment about self-love. Now, Mars in Aquarius says, you're going to strut your stuff when it comes to career and your inner discipline. It is time to sort of whistle while you work, if you will. It is time to put a strut in your step as far as when you make decisions. It's time to boogie in your responsibilities and to dance through your day instead of having your day weigh on you or be a hardship or whatever. And for those Tauruses who have retired or who are not working full time in the world, your life still needs to be fun and interesting. So you still need goals. Learn how to cross knit or something. Okay. Like do something, make something out of your talent. Don't just let it sit dormant, because Tauruses are here to still make a mark on the world, no matter what age you happen to be. Pluto just entered your house of career. Now, when it comes to that new inner discipline, it has to actually be reconciled with self-treatment. So the way you treat yourself, again, that is non-material treating of yourself, the way you react to yourself, the way you respond to yourself, the way you treat yourself has to be now according to your new credit rating. All right. So start treating yourself in a higher credit rating. It's funny. Well, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I was looking at dream houses the other day, just like, oh, that'd be an amazing house because I love architecture. And I realized I don't have the wardrobe for that house. I would look like a bum in that house. I would look like the help. But anyways, I was treating myself to some dreaming is my point. And I think you should treat yourself to some good things as well. All right, let's take a drink. Gemini, the mental gems. Gemini, you're having a spiritual shift when it comes to your inner discipline. So Geminis have not been very disciplined in a Taurus way. And I'm just saying that. Sorry, son, but it's how we're different. I'm not saying Geminis aren't disciplined. The way you discipline yourself, the way you tell yourself to do things is based on your karma. It's not based on the ideal. So Geminis have had this approach like, oh God, I don't want to have to do it. Or I wish I didn't have to work, or, whatever your discipline was, it was based on the fact that you were a slave in a past life or you were stuck in something you hated. And so as a result, you've applied your discipline tactics with this past life veil when this life is not that at all. You're making it this by thinking that way. Okay. So it's a spiritual shift in how you discipline yourself. All right. Now, upon disciplining yourself, you have to change the way you think about your feelings. So Geminis keep crucifying themselves, not because they really feel that way, but because they are gossiping about how they feel, or they are thinking like, oh, this is going to be horrible. Oh, this is going to really hurt. Oh God, this is going to be so uncomfortable. Oh my God. So I see Geminis make it worse by the way they have prejudice around certain feelings. I hate feeling this way. I hate feeling that way. And so you end up basically inflaming the emotional issue by the way you overthink. So you are over processing and over mentally reacting to your feelings. So you need an attitude adjustment with your discipline, a new spiritual perspective, and a new way of thinking about how you feel. Think about how you feel from a new perspective. Now, you are going to strut your stuff when it comes to believing in yourself. You have everything to believe in yourself. You should just put down default believe. I would believe until proven wrong. and just strut that way. So it's time to boogie in what you believe. If you believe you are the next Elon Musk, then boogie and do it. Act on your beliefs. If you believe you have the answer, then do it. Start to strut your stuff with what you believe in yourself. Start to vibe that you are the one that knows. Sit in the corner and look at everyone like you know better. That's okay. All right. Now, Jupiter squaring that means that you have to make sure that you own what you have faith in. You have to get your faith to a new soul capital. And so your faith and your belief in yourself have to work together as a team. And you have to bring that new self-worth and that new faith you're having. And I've seen puddles drying up for Geminis. I'm friends with lots of Geminis, and I've seen that they're worrying less. That's the mark of the greater faith. They are worrying less, and that tells you that they have greater faith because there's less worry going on. But it's now time to take that faith and spend it on belief, in essence. Cancers, the moon child. Cancers, you have basically a new spiritual perspective on what you believe about yourself. So, I know a lot of cancers and they go different ways. Some cancers overly believed in themselves and then they got burned and then they felt bad about it. Some cancers believe in themselves with this, but they don't believe in themselves in relationships. So because they're bad in relationships, they let their belief in themselves at work get tarnished. So you've let belief corrupt belief, I've seen with cancers. You need a new, and all that, what your karma says is like your belief in yourself is actually based on your past lives mistakes. They're not based on this one. This one repeated it, but they're not based on this one. So you have this new belief in yourself. That's the new spiritual perspective. The full moon in Virgo says the way you think about yourself also needs an adjustment. So cancers are adjusting what they believe about themselves and what they think about themselves, both. Thinking and believing is what has to happen. A new perspective in the way you believe and the way you think, Cancer, which is not emotional at all. If you think about it. Isn't that funny? You're a master of emotion, but it's your thinking and your believing that's choking up the ride and holding things from happening. Okay. So you're going to boogie when it comes to self-trust and intimacy. Cancers it's now time to trust yourself. It's now time to walk on water. It's now time to actually own it and play it out and see where it plays and give yourself the benefit of all doubts to enforce all of your trust in yourself and spend it on something else. And Jupiter at 10 degrees says, you've already learned, I think, how to be a friend to yourself in the world. Jupiter at 10 and 11 says, you know now how to make sure you don't get eaten alive by the critics, that you don't get taken advantage of by the salespeople, that you don't get taken for a fool by your group of friends. You now have a strong sense of your worth when it comes to the world. You know what you're not worth. That's for one thing. Okay. And so it's now time to take that worth that you know you are and invest it and fully trust yourself so that you can take some real interesting risks and you can make some real interesting things happen. All righty. Speaking of taking risk, it's time for Take Some Water. I've been talking all day. Leos, the leaders of love. Your new spiritual shift, Leos, and Leo risings, I'm a Leo rising, by the way, meow, is self-trust. Now, I think it's similar to Cancers. Like, you've always trusted yourself in some things, but some things you haven't trusted yourself. And so because you didn't trust yourself in those other things, you let it make you doubt the other stuff that you did trust. So let's say you trust yourself in relationships, but you don't trust yourself with a job. Well, you've let your job be affected by the fact you don't trust yourself in relationships. So it's now time to get a whole new perspective on trust. And that should really be based on your intuition. Your intuition will tell you everything's cool. Your intuition will tell you something is wrong at the same time. So it's a new spiritual perspective on trusting yourself. Where you need to think of yourself differently is your self-worth. So you need a new attitude about self-worth. And I know exactly what this is. Leos have always based their self-worth on accomplishment and achievement. They've based it on how many likes they get in social media. They base their self-worth on their shine, on their reflection, on how many people in the audience are clapping. And that is not what self-worth can be based on. It has to be a knowing before you step out on stage. So it's time for a new mindset as far as how you think of yourself and what you are worth. And it's time to literally give yourself a higher raise in soul capital. Your mind should adjust the balance sheet and give you more credit inside your mind. Your mind needs to give you more credit. All right. That's what the full moon is about tomorrow. Now, where it comes to owning your soul capital is self-discipline. Leos have learned now and have created a new value of self-discipline. They are getting up. They are getting the job done. They are making themselves move forward. They're facing adversity. They're juggling all the tasks that they have at hand. You are pulling it off. I'm seeing Leos everywhere pulling it off. And God is putting a greater weight on your shoulders, and you are doing it. So you should own that your soul capital has gone up as far as you as a business executive or a leader or a director or a parent. Yes, you're great. It's time to take that credit now and give it to yourself in your relationship to yourself. Basically, it's time to take credit with yourself that you are doing a kick-ass job and that so far you haven't meowed it up yet. All right. And I'm not saying you're going to, I'm just saying, let's be cautiously optimistic. Okay. So give yourself the credit you deserve in your relationship to yourself. When you talk to yourself in the mirror, talk about all the good things you were doing with discipline and responsibility and going forward. Give yourself more credit on the inside and shift your story about trust. You can trust yourself, especially if you sense it. Okay, I'm going to take another drink. Virgos, the virtuosos. Virgo, you are taking on a new spiritual perspective with me, Rich. And this is huge for the Virgos, okay? Virgos are the first one to tell you everything that's wrong with them. Everything with cliff notes and subtext at the bottom and a dictionary to define the terms. Here's all the things wrong with me. Now, usually it's maybe true. Okay. Maybe you see that opportunity for success or whatever, but that spiritual perspective of half empty versus half full. Here's all the things great about me. And I'm working on a few things versus here's the things bad about me. And I've only got one or two things to be happy about. So this is a half full, half empty thing for Virgos and Virgo risings. Basically, when it comes to the way you look at yourself, it's time to see yourself as half full instead of half empty. That's the best way to look at it. I think that's the spiritual perspective. Now, the way you treat yourself needs an attitude adjustment. Mostly this is in the mind. I've never met anyone harsher than a Virgo rising or a Virgo in their own mind against themselves. You all really beat yourself to death. You really do. It's not pretty. Okay. And so you need a mental mind adjustment about the way you talk to yourself, the way you treat yourself, the way you respond to yourself. You wouldn't tolerate it from someone else, but you tolerate it from yourself. So it's time for a new attitude about the way you talk to yourself, the way you treat yourself. Negative reinforcement is so passé. It's just so, dark ages. Okay. No one uses negative reinforcement anymore. No one punishes anymore. So it's time to end the punisher in your self-treatment and in your mind. Now, you are at a place where you are at a point where you believe in yourself. Jupiter 11 says Virgos do now believe in themselves. If I put a gun to their head and force them to answer, they would say, yes, they believe in themselves. Yes, they do. And they will live up to that. They do believe in themselves. They know they are very, very capable. It's now time to take that credit of believing in yourself and believe that your life can change. So your strut, your disco is in the moment. It's time to boogie in the moment. It's time to celebrate in the moment. That also means your relationship to your body and your relationship to stress. It's not cool to be stressing out all the time. That's just so not cool. Look at Generation Alpha. They'll tell you it's not cool. All right. Generation Alpha is Pluto and Capricorn generation, by the way. The oldest of them is about 15 or 16 years old right now. So they'll tell you it's not cool. All right. It's not cool to be stressed out anymore. That's so old school. So take that belief in yourself and spend it on being cool in the moment. Libras, you are changing your spiritual perspective on your body image and your stress. Okay. Now, this is mostly how you look at the moment. I know so many Libras are like, oh my God, it's so hard. Oh my God, this is impossible. They've been, and it's not that you're negative. It's that you're on the other side of the scale and you're always trying to like balance things out, but you've approached life out of balance, I think. And so you've had this spiritual approach that life is pushing a boulder uphill, or everyone's against me, or I can't get people. There's an attitude about life about the moment that has to flip. That script has to flip according to the astrology. That's the sun in Pisces. You need to have a new attitude about what life is. All right. Now, on the other side of that, you also need a new attitude on your faith that if God was going to ruin you, she would have done it by now. Okay. So it's time to call the race. You've gotten away with all of it. You've survived. Let's call it default faith instead of default doubt. Okay. So it's sort of like the Virgos. It's time for life to be half full when it comes to faith instead of half empty. It's time to just assume it's going to work out and dare God to let you down. I dare you, God, to let me down. That has to be the attitude inside for the successful Libra. If you're wondering what I'm coaching you to, is towards success. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying this perspective will win. All right. Now, you have a lot of credit when it comes to self-trust. Libras have built self-trust up since last May. You now trust yourself with certain people, with certain things, with certain substances. You trust yourself, maybe a little intoxicated in front of a cute person. You trust yourself. Okay. That self-trust is your soul capital. That's what you can take to the bank, that you trust yourself. And it's now time to take that trust in yourself and spend it on some love. So it's really time to get into a groove of loving yourself, Libra. Love is on the inside, not on the outside. Love is something you do with an energy inside yourself. When you feel bad, that's when you love yourself. When times are hard, that's when you love yourself. When things are going wrong, that's when you love yourself. So it's now time to strut your stuff with loving yourself and own what you are worth and prove that you are worthy by loving yourself. Don't say it. Prove it to me, Libra. Show me. Don't tell me. Scorpios. We're going to take a drink, yeah. Scorpios are changing the spiritual script of self-love. And I am seeing, I can report this, Scorpios I know are starting to really love themselves. And I always suspected they did, but they sure didn't act like it. they sure didn't act like it. Probably because I couldn't see the inner child in there at all. All I saw was a grumpy adult most of the time. I didn't see the inner child very much. I was like, do you play at all with something besides fire? But Scorpios are now really starting to love themselves. It's time to default love yourself. And that's not love yourself, versus not love someone else. It's not you or them. It's both. It's we. But you're shifting the script on loving yourself and taking that self-love to a higher level, basically. All right. So that self-love means that you have to have a new attitude about yourself in society. Your attitude about yourself in society is inappropriate. It's not based on self-love. Most of the attitude I see in Scorpio in society is, oh God, here's another one. Do I have to tell another person no? Oh, do I have to police this too? Do I have to show you that you're wrong? Oh God, why am I the only one that has to be responsible? That's the attitude I see in Scorpios in society. That attitude is not going to work. No, it's not your job to police the world. You're now the peaceful warriors. You are a UN cop, not a cop anymore. Okay. You're wearing white because you don't intend to get bloody. All right. So it's time to have a better attitude about who you are in the world and a better attitude about what your job is in the world. It's not the same job anymore. Okay. Now that you love yourself, give yourself the good job. Let somebody else do the dirty job. Let the young kids do that. Let them learn and go from the ranks up. Now, where you have really gained your self-worth is with your self-trust and your mirage. You now, I think, know that you won't let yourself down. You have built credit in treating yourself well. You get an A+ in your mirage. And I am seeing that in all Scorpios that I know. I'm friends with a lot of Scorpios. You're doing really well and you're treating yourself well and you're giving yourself the right things. You're basically providing for yourself for the first time, like you usually provide for others. You're finally concluding yourself at the same level. Now it's time to take that self-credit of how good you are in your mirage and spend it on feeling better. Your feelings have got to rise to a higher vibration. You've got to dance. You've got to be like a little baby in the crib, chewing on your own toes, giggling. Okay. It's time to come back to that innocent, high vibration of being safe and feeling happy and putting that sparkle back in your eyes. So spend that mirage credit on feeling better about yourself. And by the way, feelings have to be coerced. They have to be manipulated. You're a Scorpio. They have to be seduced. You have to seduce your feelings. You have to talk them into wanting to be nicer. You can talk clothes off of anybody. Talk your feelings to something nicer. Nicer to you, by the way, not others. Right? So it's time to raise the vibe of your feelings all the time. Sagittariuses. Sages are having a new spiritual story in how they feel about themselves. And it's so funny too, because you catch Sages. Sages like the life of the party, but you can catch them in this like moping part of their personality where they will mope and feel bad about themselves, kind of like Eeyore. And so I think they come from a lot of Sages spent their past lives traveling the world and not being at home, or being rejected by their family, or kicked out of their house because they were gay or didn't get along with the right religion or whatever. And so a lot of Sagittariuses were born with emotional self-abandonment because they had been abandoned in past lives by their family for being too weird, or being the free thinker, or leaving home to go to college or explore. So your spiritual perspective on your feelings of yourself, that's what has to change. That's where the shift happens in your karma, is you start to feel good about yourself without any apologies. Now, where you have to change your thinking is in your discipline. Most Sages I know put off discipline and then catch up right away. So every Sag I know lets the laundry build up, and then they spend 2 days doing laundry. They let the bills build up, and then they do 2 days doing bills. Sages are very yo-yo, not very balanced, not very like this when it comes to getting things done. They're constantly going up and down with the piles of work and responsibilities. So I think it's now time for a steady, kind of hi-ho, kind of constantly taking advantage, taking discipline, and just having a different attitude about what you do to self-discipline. Whatever you use to like get yourself to go and do something, you've got to like find a new mental motive for why you're doing it. Your mental motive to get up and do something is, according to astrology, not the right motive. I can't get in your head and tell you what it is, but I know it's not right by this full moon. It's just not where you're going. Now, your soul capital and your soul credit is actually with living in the moment. Sages are finally starting to hold good health. They're living good in the moment. They are getting to bed on time. They're not up all night partying. Like, they're starting to have a balanced life. And yeah, I'm being cliche, but I know Sagittarius that will party with a good book till 4 a.m. It's not always about actual parties. Like, you just tend to live life out of balance. But Sagittarius are now, I think, really building credit and feeling creditable in the moment. I think they're really starting to own their value in their jobs, and own their value in their work, and own their value other places. So it's now time to spend that volume of feeling good in the moment and start to really think like that. So your thinking has to go to a higher vibration. You got to have higher vibe thoughts, more optimistic, less doomsday. Also, in some respects, more realistic. Some Sagittarius are off on vacation all the time in their head. It's like, hello, where are you right now? So maybe some of the thinking is like getting more focused into the moment, that type of thing. But basically, you have good credit with your body. Spend it on your mind now. Get your mind into the right level, the right groove, the right vibration. And of course, the way you talk about yourself as well. Capricorns, oh, by the way, the Sages are unicorns. Capricorns, the captivators of the solar system. Capricorns are going to it's now time to flip the script and have a new spiritual approach in the way you think about yourself. One of the biggest trends I see with Capricorns is they're constantly saying how hard life is, when they wanted the entire empire and to own it all. So that's the paradox, y'all. You're like, life is tough. It's throwing me curveballs. It's so hard all the time. It's always an uphill battle. But you want to own the whole city block. Of course it's hard. You want to be the king. Of course it's hard. But it comes from a past life where you didn't succeed, you didn't thrive, you didn't make it, you didn't pull off your goals. And so your mindset had this sort of just waiting for the next thing to go wrong attitude. Okay. So your mental attitude has to be one of faith, one of assumption that God's got your back. Assume it has already happened instead of worry, fear, anxiety, doubt, guilt. A lot of guilt in Capricorn's minds, a lot of guilt, and really adopt a new faithful attitude when you talk to yourself and think of yourself. Now, where your mind has to flip is in your belief in yourself. And I think that your belief in yourself has always been, when I see it, I'll believe it. And I think Capricorns and Capricorn risings have to go, I'll believe it so that I can see it. So I think you have to believe first, see later, as far as the attitude adjustment. going on inside of your head around self-belief. Now, when it comes to self-worth, I am seeing Capricorns starting to love themselves in real ways. I really am. I'm real proud of you, and Capricorn risings. You are really loving yourself, genuinely showing up. You're seeing the job as loving yourself instead of the job as showing up for your job. And so you have amazing soul capital right now with self-love. You have the biggest bank account probably in the zodiac for self-love next to Leo's. They're always going to be the gold meisters of that. But it's now time to take that self-love and spend it on self-worth, to give yourself energetic, non-material credit for what you're worth. It's now time to own vibrationally your self-worth. Self-worth is a vibration. It is not a account balance. All right. It is not a deed to a property. It is not a hot person on your arm. It is, in fact, a vibration. So spend that self-love on some soul capital vibration. Aquarius is the forerunners of the new era. You are now flipping the script and your spiritual perspective on your self-worth. Your self-worth is basically now going to be based on faith, faith that God has got your back, faith that God is ready to be there for you, faith that you can pull it off. So your self-worth is now based on faith, which means God gave you the credit. That's who gave you the credit. You have credit with God, with the angels, with the ascended masters, with the creator beings. That's where your credit comes from. That's where your self-worth comes from. It's not based on anything anyone in the world does or any of your likes or the numbers you're getting on, in sales or anything like that. Now, where you have to flip the script in your mindset is around self-trust. And I do see this in every Aquarius I know. You all act like you trust yourself and that you are the final call. But once you let down that facade, I see the doubt in Aquariuses. I see you doubting all the time. It comes through your questions. It comes through other things. Yes, you look cool on the outside, but that inner chewy nugget stuff is not solid. So your mind is not default trusting yourself. And this is really important, Aqua, because if it doesn't happen, you're not going to be leaders in the new era. You've got to trust yourself or we will never trust you. So a new mindset on trusting yourself. You are starting to feel much better about yourself. You know what? Aquarius is usually like squirmy in their own skin. They usually can't stand, certain feelings. They usually disappear and ghost immediately as soon as they feel a tiny bit uncomfortable. I am seeing Aquariuses be very emotionally resilient now. Bad feelings don't throw the baby out with the bathwater anymore. You are really managing for electricity and water to go together in a great way. It's now time to take that soul capital credit and start treating yourself like you feel. So start treating yourself like you feel. Start treating yourself so you can feel better. When you feel better, turn that into self-treatment. Sometimes the self-treatment is the doubt. It is the questioning. Sometimes it is that I don't feel like I belong. I don't know where my place is. That's not a good way to talk to a future leader. Okay. I don't know where my place is. You'll figure it out. You've always winged it. Aquariuses very rarely have a plan. They show up and they're like, okay, this works. That's about it. That's all you have to do. And we all buy it anyways. So it's time to feel good about yourself and treat yourself the way you feel. And finally, for one more toast for the Pisces. The Pisces are dream weavers. Pisces, you have to have a new approach to the way you treat yourself. And this is the biggest one because this is huge for you, Pisces. Pisces are so, what's the word I'm looking for? Hyper aware. Because you're empaths, you're super aware of the world, and you have been trying to control the world to feel better. And that is old school. It's now time to feel better, whether or not the world agrees, whether or not the world is helping you, whether or not the world's on your team, whether or not you fit in the world. You got to treat yourself good regardless. You cannot be codependent on the world agreeing with your self-treatment. That's where I see for Pisces, where they're lost. They're like, well, no one's treating me well. I guess I won't treat myself well. Or I deserve this. Why aren't you giving this to me? Says the Pisces. And it's like, give it to yourself. So Pisces are learning how to treat themselves a lot better. And this is really coming out of your karma. The only reason why you're worried about the world was because you were crucified by the world in a past life and you keep reliving it and reliving it and reliving it. And this is not where you'll be crucified unless you ask to be crucified, then you will be. I mean, it is free will after all. Where you're going to flip the script on your thinking is the way you think of yourself. When you look in the mirror, the way you think of yourself, what you see is coming from the wrong attitude according to astrology. You are not seeing who you are seeing who you were. So the flip of the script for Pisces is look in the mirror and see who you are, not who you were. All right. And treat yourself the way you deserve to be treated and show us how to treat you by example. Now, your thinking about yourself has gone way up. Jupiter in Taurus is totally raised. I see a lot of Pisces saying to me, I deserve. That's new. I haven't seen that before. So Pisces have really upscaled the way they think about themselves. They now think of themselves much higher than they've ever thought of themselves. And they've been very bold, like, I'll save that baby. And it's like, hold on, you're not even a fireman, sit down. But they're very like, I can do it. And it's like, have you done it before? No, but I can. So I'm seeing that credit that you're giving yourself in your mind. But you have to spend that now on faith. It's now time to go, God's got your back. It's time to feel that God has your back. It's time to feel that Spirit's with you. It's time to feel that Spirit won't let you down. It may take a couple minutes for it to all work out, but Spirit will not let you down. Okay. So take that high thinking of yourself and assume that God thinks the same way as you, that the universe is on your side. I know because you've been crucified in past lives that you don't think God is on your side. When you got to heaven, God said, I was with you the whole time. You were bleeding to death on that cross. And that's how God works in a very strange way. But I do think Pisces will be the most metamorphosized sign in all 12 signs. We're going to see a huge change in Pisces in the next 6 months like you've never seen before. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. All right, friends. That wraps up our Tea Time segment. We're going to take a little intermission here. And when I come back, we're going to talk with Karen Croney, our Chiron specialist and hair intelligence officer. Keep streaming for a great interview. This zodiac weather is from Saturday, February 24th to Friday, March 1st, 2024. Looking first at your weekend forecast, a full moon in Virgo sets the tone for an inner spiritual re-evolution. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's cloudy with a chance of lightning. Step 5 means Mercury rules the day as the moon goes full early in the morning on Saturday. You are rewriting your mental reality with this full moon and shifting how you feel on the inside. And with Venus squaring Jupiter, you are reconciling this new cool vibe inside of yourself and a greater self-worth. On Sunday, it's sunny and practical. Step 6 means Venus rules the day, so you are opening up to accept and receive this new spiritual growth. And I believe that you are now believing in the new me. Looking ahead at the week forecast for the upcoming 5 days, over the course of this next week, you're going to take this new spiritual premise and you're going to grow it into a whole new spiritual timeline. On Monday, it's cloudy and juxtaposed. Step 7 means it is the Grandmaster step of Pisces. This is where your spiritual learning about your inner growth will come full circle. You'll also feel this new relationship as the moon moves from Virgo into Libra, and you will now be committing to faith over what you see in daily reality. On Tuesday, it's sunny and rather sober. Step 8 means Saturn rules the day, so our responsibilities come up to the forefront. It's now time to commit to this new spiritual lesson you have learned, and you are turning a corner on your self-worth and soul capital. With Mars squaring Jupiter, you're also reconciling your ego with your new worth. On Wednesday, it's sunny and strong. Step 9 means Mars is ruling this day. On this day, you are activating your new spiritual path. You could say putting your money where your mouth is. You will be feeling through the consequences, and we have a super stellium of 9s. Mercury conjoins the Sun, Mercury conjoins Saturn, and the Sun conjoins Saturn, sort of closing the deal. With the moon in Libra, you may have to struggle a little to stay in balance. On Thursday, it's sunny and determined. Step 10 means this is a day ruled by Mother Earth. The moon moves into Scorpio, which means you are also defining emotional boundaries. On this day, you're ultimately manifesting this new spiritual timeline and drawing some inner lines. And with Mercury sextiling Jupiter, Now your mind is reconciling just how much you are worth on the inside. And then on Friday, it's sunny and crisp. Step 11 means Virgo rules this day. You'll be realizing your spiritual growth. You'll be feeling your frequency rise to a new level. The sun sextiles Jupiter, so now your new spiritual path is tied into your new self-worth. And with Venus sextiling Chiron, you realize you have healed past mistakes and you feel a green light to go forward.
It's serious joy, joy, joy.
Hello and welcome to Astro Mingle, the spiritual podcast that mingles with the talented light workers and innovative influencers of our time. On the Mingle, we're always on the move to find compelling and interesting voices in our spirit world. Tonight's guest is interesting from her spiritual knowledge coupled with her earthly knowledge. Croney is a hair shaman whose expertise in hair health has enabled her to work with dedicated clients, achieving their desired goals. Her commitment to both inner and outer beauty has led to the formation of her boutique company, Hair Intelligence, which specializes in organic hair growth products. In addition, Karen is also an astrologer who has uniquely integrated astrology and intuition into her hair consultations. Her sessions in all things personal beauty and beyond are highly specialized, immensely personal, groundbreaking, and completely out of the box. Her passion to astrology has made her a Chiron expert who works with hundreds of clients, alchemizing their Chiron and ultimately helping them to achieve their highest potential in their day-to-day lives. Please join me in sending waves of love and gratitude to my guest today, Step 10 Aquarius, hair shaman, Karen Croney. Hello.
Hi there, Christopher. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Oh, it's amazing to be here.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And, I don't know if you've noticed this with Leo risings in hair. Have you noticed this?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I can spot a Leo rising in a mall. I can
yes.
spot them anywhere. I don't care if they're 95 in a wheelchair, their hair's done.
Yes. It's amazing. And I always tell my clients that Leo rules the soul of the hair. It's like they have to have a certain feel. And before they go out, they have to feel it. And Aquarius rules the biology and the energy of the hair.
Oh, that's very interesting. I love how you've brought in that combination. Tell us how you got. Now, I'm the child of a hairdresser, by the way. So I grew up in salons.
Awesome.
I grew up in salons. I grew up with, watching my mom bicker with the other stylists.
Yeah.
My mom was asking people their sign, and it's high drama in those salons, man.
Yeah.
Those wash bowls in the back, a lot of shit goes down back there. But
salons.
Yeah, I know. I love it though. There's something for me, it's like it's where I grew up, is in my mom's salon or salons. How did you get started in hair? I mean, what drew you to it to become a hairstylist? Let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah. Well, I've always been into the beauty. I went to Bondley Aesthetics, School of Aesthetics, for really doing hairstyling and makeup, and then came out to Hollywood and worked on the sets. And I really always loved hair, and I've always had like attention about my hair. Even when I was younger and it was all layered, I'd make it go as, in the 80s, I'd make it go as feathered as you could possibly have. And everybody would say, like, how do you get your hair like that? So I've always had a love for it. And everybody in my family, my mom put us in hair shows when we were younger. My cousin owned a salon. My sister's a hairdresser. And so I've just been around it for so long. And I actually worked in a long hair care salon in Beverly Hills before I even started doing hair. And that's where I got inspired to grow my hair. I grew it to my ankles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I always wonder how you sleep at night with hair like that. You wake up just like choking?
There's ways to do it. You braid it and flip it over have it go to bed, flip it over your pillow. There's ways to do it. You definitely can't have it down and you'll be pulling it. So you have to.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be Yeah, it seems like it'd be insane.
Yeah, braid is
Um,
the best way to do that, you
and
know.
you and I love, I mean, I love being on sets with hair too in Hollywood. That was a lot of fun. How did you get involved with that? That's always fun to be part of that.
Yeah, I it's a long kind of a long story. I remember doing some modeling in Baltimore and where I'm from, and I did a lot of makeup too, and I did some modeling, and I was doing a lot of makeup for this photographer that I knew. And there was a woman that he worked with. She was, you know, I was telling her, I want to go to school. I really want to learn like everything there is to learn about it. Cause like I'm not always confident. So I know I can see and I'm really good. I was really good at it naturally, but it wasn't until I went to school that it taught me why I was doing that. So I started doing that. And then when I came out to Hollywood, you know, to be a star,
Is that what
and
your original intention was to be on camera?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I realized I'm kind of shy on camera, so it's not the good. Behind is like I'm very good behind the camera, and I love doing art directing. So basically, when I came here, I was doing some movie work and some modeling, and I was doing some hair and makeup for set, on set, print, film, all that stuff. And then I started working for People magazine for a few years.
Oh, wow.
That was really fun because I got to meet a lot of celebrities, and you know, it was fun just meeting people and doing, I did a lot of cover work for makeup and hair. So it was really fun. I met some, you know, rock stars and everything, and that was great. And that's how I kind of got into it. I was starting back there and then kind of was dabbling in both, you know, doing movies, doing modeling, and doing some makeup and hair, which I think I was the best at, to be honest.
I bet you were, considering how seriously you take hair.
Yeah.
And celebrities are fun. They're the only place of themselves is in that chair.
Yes.
They're not themselves on set, not
Surprise, how
behind, not
different
when
they
you
are.
run. If you
Yeah.
drive for them, if you feed them, even if you read for them as astrologer, they're still not themselves. In
Yes.
that hair chair and hair and makeup, you see who they really are. It's really
It's
interesting.
really true. And there's a lot of like, you'd be surprised how much insecurities there. And I had a lot of fun. I mean, I remember like that's kind of when I tuned in to people quite a bit when they were in my chair. And I remember just really wanting them to feel comfortable and beautiful and energetically as well as, you know, doing the makeup. And so
Yeah.
really wonderful, you know, to work that close. And then when I worked in Beverly Hills at the salon, I was doing makeup in the beginning, and then I kind of fell into doing brows, and I wound up creating my own method and wrote a book, and I have students now working in Beverly Hills doing the method. But I remember when I was working with client, that's when it started really coming to me. I'd be doing brows and I'm like connected to the third eye there. So I
Oh,
started getting
wow.
messages, and then I would say things and they would ask, and they would start asking. And then the whole relationship with brows was doing brows, but also having that therapy session, you know?
Huh.
Yeah. And that was
That is
before.
really an interesting flip of the script. Yeah, brows are almost the arms of the third eye, if you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was
That's
being able to read through the third eye and feel them. And I've always been a channel. Like I knew from early on that I was a channel because I literally involuntary did some channeling for a friend. And we woke up the next day and he was like, "You changed my life last night." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, and I was like, "What was I saying?" You know, because I was out like a channeler that doesn't remember, like Bashar or, you know, one of those.
wow.
And I just didn't remember any of it. And I've done it another time where I kind of slipped into it, but I was aware. And then now I've learned how to control that with readings and doing it in the way that I feel good with, you know.
How far back did channeling go for you? Was it as a child? When you
I
start to
think
notice that?
so. I think so. I mean, I always remember feeling everything. I don't know if that's my Virgo moon in the eighth, but I just
Mhm.
remember being able to feel everything. Like my parents would be there and I would just know, like, okay, I'm not going to talk there because they're feeling this. And I remember I was probably about 10, and I remember all my family actually is very intuitive. And I think I was the one that developed it, but everybody had it. And I believe we got it from my grandmother. My grandmother was born with a silk veil on her face. And when we were younger, she would always say, "Everybody's calling me a witch," because I knew that was going to happen. And I'd say, "Nanny, don't worry about it. You're a good witch, you know?" And older generation and two generations for me is like they're very like nervous about that stuff. But I believe everybody in my family had it. But I was sitting there one time and I was around 9 or 10, and I just got this vision of this white van getting in an accident. And like 2 minutes later, we hear it outside and it's a white van getting in an accident.
Mm.
And I was like, I don't like this. I was talking, my sister's an Aquarius too, and she's 2 years older than me. So her and I could say anything to her. And, Aquarius, she didn't care about anything. She would just listen really well. And I just remember telling her that I don't want to feel this, So as I got older, I actually went to a therapist, and the therapist said to me, can you turn it to good? And I was like, wow, that's a good idea, I said, no, I said, I'm going to try though. And I did. And I focused on the good, and I went through battles of dark. When you do this work, you kind of have to, and clear that up. And then, I noticed from early age that I had this skill. And I remember, I think I was around 5 or 6. I have a memory of like my father's friends coming up to me going, like they were talking, they'd come up and I'd just be there, open, and they would say, ask me a question, and then I would be like telling them the answer, and they would say, see, I just have the memory. I don't know what I said or what they asked me, but I just have that memory. And I was like, you reflect on that as a child when people are going, they see something. So you want to see, was that my value? You're always searching for that love and affection. So I remember that happening. And then it was probably 2012 when I really stepped on to my path as far as a channel. And I did some channeling sessions for a few years. And then I got into astrology. And it was interesting how I got into astrology because I'm a big meditator. I've meditated for a long time and really like seriously meditating. And I remember meditating one day and I would be able to feel the collective. And I remember kind of working on the energy to help out or do what I could because I could feel it. And then I had a beautiful spiritual song on when I was doing it. And then after, an astrologer came on and he said something, and it was exactly what I was feeling. And that's what made me go, wait a minute, this stuff is real. I didn't know, And then I just fell down the rabbit hole of astrology, and, that's how that was. But yeah, it all just was side by side, to be honest, as with the hair and the spiritual work. It was just intertwined, really.
It seems like it. I mean, is that how you led to the idea of hair intelligence? Tell us about what hair intelligence is.
Yeah. Well, I believe your hair has intelligence, just like your cells, your whole entire body. You're communicating with your body. Like if you say, I am well, your cells are going, okay, let's make it well. So I believe that our hair has the energy as well to communicate with you. And when I have a client and she's coming and she'll twist her hair and she'll be like, I'm not happy with my hair. And, you can tell she's putting a lot of energy. And I tell her, wait a minute, empower yourself and speak beauty and affirmations into your hair, along with doing my products, of course. So when I came out with hair intelligence, the reason I came out with that name is because hair has intelligence. And I wanted to share that with people. I wanted to share that the hair is connected to the nervous system. And I believe as soon as we think a thought, it sends a signal to the nervous system, and all the cells in your follicles are right there, right by the brain. So they get the information as well. And it's why we call it the antenna. So be careful what we say to our hair. Be careful where we focus. And that's why I have that. And I really created hair intelligence also to be smart and intelligent about your hair. Most people don't realize that you need to, just like you need to feed your body, you need to feed the hair. Nobody knows that. And I can't wait to teach this on a larger scale as well, because the hair gets the nutrients last. So you need to feed the hair in order for it to recover from stress or whatever we go through. So
there's a lot there. Science has always said that hair was dead.
I know.
Like fingernails. So this is completely contrary to that notion.
No, it's not.
I heard a story about in Vietnam, the U.S. military brought American Indians as trackers for Vietnam jungles. And the American Indians, they shaved their heads because they had long hair. And when the American Indians got into the jungle, they could no longer track. And it
Mhm.
was assumed that the hair was some sort of an antenna for their location on Earth. Have you heard things like that? You're shaking your head.
I know that story really well, actually, and a lot of people ask me about it. And
Oh, really? I thought I'm cool. Go ahead.
no, I've heard that. Everybody comes to tell me things, and I get this information. I've been in here
Right.
for a long time, and that is a cool thing to know. I didn't know you would know that. But what's interesting about that is I think about this. I always want to tell people that whether you have a lot of hair or a little bit of hair, you have the ability to tap in just through your body. But I believe when that situation, and I believe your hair is an antenna because I've experienced it. I've been in a place where it was a lot of energetic confusion and came home and my hair was in mats, just random.
Okay.
So I know that it feels it. But I never
Right.
want anyone to think that if they don't have as much hair, that they don't have as much intuition or to be able to feel things. So, but I imagined that situation for myself and just kind of tuned into it. And I realized, wow, like imagine the shock of it for them. Like if their hair is there and they're
Yeah.
connected and then it goes away and then they put them out, that's like a shock. Like even cutting my hair, I cut my hair after I grew it to my ankles. It was like a shock. And I felt there was intelligence. Like I erased history from myself.
There
So
certainly is when it comes like to hair testing and stuff. Like it's like a record of everything you've had nutrients wise. If you've done drugs, like it's
mhm,
all recorded in your hair. There's just like a weird
yeah,
linear recording going on there.
it's like a tree.
Yeah, very much. And just like cats have whiskers, if you cut them, they get their head stuck in a hole. It's like
You don't
there's,
sense the, yeah,
yeah, yeah. It seems that there would be some hair intelligence there.
yeah.
Um, and so how do you use hair intelligence for our benefit? Like what is the importance of knowing how intelligent our hair is?
Well, I think the importance is for most of my clients are coming to me because they want improved hair. So it's not everyone that needs it, but I think the thing that you can benefit from is to know that if you are going through an issue or you're having hair loss or something like that, then just focus on making sure you're nourishing your hair. And that's why I created my organic hair treatments and things. And also make sure that you calm the nervous system, you focus on taking care of it and not, how Virgos are very like they look at things really closely and they kind of keep looking at it. And I always tell my clients if you're losing hair, just nourish it and breathe, do some deep breathing because your nervous system, when your nervous system's thrashed, it can affect your hair if you're not getting the nutrients. So I always tell people to make sure that you're calming down, that you're not focused, just feed the hair and then allow it to grow, and that'll at least help that. So knowing that your hair is alive and knowing that your hair has intelligence, you can communicate with your hair. And
Hmm.
I've told clients to love your hair. And it's interesting, like when they come back, they talk to me and they say, gosh, I didn't realize just saying I love you to my hair would like make a difference in the way it felt. And so it's interesting. Try it for yourself, like your viewers, just meditate and tune into your hair and just, give it some love. And like I always tell people, like when you're touching your hair, just like when you're typing on the computer, it comes up whatever you're typing in. So if you're saying, yeah, my hair has just not been the way it was, you're touching it, you're downloading your hair with that knowledge. And just like the
Hmm.
universe, your hair responds.
Mm-hmm.
It's your saying. So yeah, that's the importance. Yeah.
So people who are always touching there's a lot of girls who are always playing with their hair all
If
the
they're
time.
smiling when they're doing it, beautiful.
Okay. As long as they're smiling.
If they're worrying, you want to stop that. Don't put the worry in your hair.
I personally think hair leads to beauty. Like the first thing I notice in a woman is her hair.
A lot of men say that. A lot of
Yeah.
men say that. And people say to me, you're 60. You just turned 60. Why do you still have long hair? And I'm like, I just love it. There's no reason for me to cut it. You
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Interesting.
that rule about if you get older, you have to cut your hair short now. Don't
Yeah.
I don't believe in that rule. You know, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm not gonna go for that, you know?
No, you do whatever you want, girl.
Yeah.
So does hair talk to you in the chair? I'm just curious, like,
I mean,
is that part of your artistry as a
I,
stylist?
it doesn't say words, but it's just like energy. You can read the energy. Like if I'm doing, like I do trims sometimes, people come in person and I'll do long hair trims. And they always say, well, I don't know what I want yet, or I don't know what I want to do yet. And I said, well, let's tap into the hair and see what it needs, see what it's saying. And when I tune in, I can just tell the hair's trying to grow out, it's trying to get thicker. Because like if you look at the head, if you have all one length hair, the head likes balance. If you think of the head, it's very balanced, the,
Hmm.
the spheres. So hair likes one length. If you're deciding to grow your hair, you want to kind of grow out those layers so you can thicken it up and strengthen those follicles. So when I'm looking at their hair and feeling into it, I can feel what the hair needs. I can
Mm.
look at it as well, but I can also feel it. Yeah, and then I'll also put energy in the hair when I'm doing hair. I love doing that.
I find that a lot of times, the hair wash, beauticians do that a lot.
Yeah.
In the wash, I can feel energetically them loving my hair, which is
Oh,
really,
yes. And they're
yeah.
using their fingertips, which is like Reiki and energy.
Yeah, it's something we almost could use with besides the wash bowl, like something we get massages. We almost,
I tell my clients to like when they're using my treatment to massage your hair and just, focus on it's better to get it to receive it. Of course, it's always better to relax and receive like it is a massage, but do it. And when you're washing your hair, do that massage for yourself. You'll be surprised what happens with the hair.
I can't wait. I'm gonna play.
Yeah, play. Definitely
My
play.
hair is always doing something
I
fabulous.
love it. Your
Like,
hair is so you. I just love it. Nobody has that hair ever. Like,
thank you. Yeah, it's unique.
like I love that hair. It's like a what are those cartoons called? The cool ones, the ones that teach spirituality.
Oh, got you. I've seen those. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called right now either. Someone in the chat will probably say it. We'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
good.
Yeah, we will. I'll say it out loud. So, I'm just curious, and we'll move on to Chiron here in a minute. But I am hair obsessed. So,
Oh, beautiful. I am
um,
too, so
what is the Von Lee International School of Aesthetics? Like, I'd never heard of that. Like, you hear Paul Mitchell and these others, but
yeah, I
this
met
must be.
Paul Mitchell. Actually, I met Paul Mitchell.
Did you? I
Sent
hear
me
he's a little temperamental.
He's
You
passed
know?
away now. He's
Yeah.
passed away now. And his son just passed away.
Oh, that's too
That
bad.
night that I met him, I was with Dan Aykroyd and we went out. It was after a movie we did. And he's like, oh, a friend's gonna meet me. And I'm like, I'm into all this stuff. And I knew Paul Mitchell and his story. And when I met him, I was just like, oh my gosh, we were talking the whole night. And he was like, I'm gonna send you a basket. This was like when I first, like in 1990. And I was like, thank you so much. And he did. He sent it to me. So I
Oh,
I didn't get to see that side of him, but
okay. Yeah. And I shouldn't talk shit about anybody. I don't,
oh well,
yeah, no,
I mean,
no.
he probably is. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. But
Yeah,
Von Lee International School of Aesthetics, that sounds really
yeah.
cool.
It's really cool because I learned the art of faces there.
Okay.
I learned the Maya theory. So when you're looking at it taught me a lot about doing brows, but it was makeup. It was the art of faces. And so when you're looking at a face, you can see like if you're going to create makeup or you're going to do brows, you can look into the face. And I happen to be able to like let go and really tune in. Or you know how you defocus and then you can see something like you see those
Yes.
third eye things, those what are they called? The illusion where you can see something in the artwork. They're called
Oh,
magic
I'm
eye,
thinking, I'm not
magic
sure. Yeah, okay.
magic eyes. Everybody look that up and try to do that at least, once because it's you let go and you defocus and then you can see the image that's popping out, but you can't see it when you're just looking at it.
Right.
So I learned that technique about visualizing and the art of the face. So there's faces like if you're doing a brow, right? And somebody has like a high cheekbone, and if you do a brow, you can make the cheekbone too high. So it's about compensating for the facial features, even down to the mounds on the face.
Okay.
So I got taught the technique of that, and I had to like develop it in vision as I did it. So I loved it. I loved it. I love faces.
Yeah, it's a real art. Yeah, and Spirit Science, by the way, someone came up with it. That
What was
cartoon,
it?
Spirit Science was the cartoon. Is that
Was that
right?
it? It's those guys, those I think it's like, you know, the ones that have the, gosh, I always talk about this. What is the guy's name? They have like the lines on their face. Avatar. There's an avatar in there.
I don't know. We'll come up with it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to send you a message about it.
I
When
would love to hear about it. One last question on hair. What about have you know, like men have suddenly just gone beard? What do you think about male facial hair? Like beards like beards, male facial hair, we're all suddenly lumberjacks. Does your hair intelligence transfer into male facial hair?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of beard trims and I put my products on there and the beards love it. I love doing beard trims and you can tell anything that you tune into. It's just like yours when you do astrology, when you tune into it, you're getting the energy of it and you're reading it. It's just like you can read anything that way. You can read a flower, you can read anything. So I apply that to beards and I apply that to hair and everywhere. Even with my artwork, I apply it.
It seems like modern men of our generation suddenly it happened as of COVID. As soon
Yeah.
as we were locked indoors
Nobody
and
could get
we
to the
stopped shaving,
salon. Yeah.
and suddenly men were just beards everywhere. And
Everybody
I
said,
tried
my
it.
beard needs a cut, you know?
I'm not fabulous with beard, but it's good to know that your products, and we'll talk about your products here at the close too. We'd like to know some more about it. I'm
Yeah.
very curious too about, you know, your astrology side and your mystical side and how you came across Chiron.
Yeah.
Do you channel Chiron, the energy of Chiron specifically? Is that how this began?
I think I channel in general, period. But what happened was is that after studying astrology for a little while, I wasn't really doing astrology sessions yet because I wanted to make sure I mastered my chart before I could go out and just do it for other people. Even though I learned a lot once I was doing it for people because I was channeling and I was like, oh, that's what that means. Like when I was channeling, they would give me the information. But
Mm,
I
interesting.
remember it was during my Chiron return. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's Chiron and Pisces. I think that started in 2012, maybe, or
Yep.
2000. It's a return.
Yeah.
So,
At age 49 and a half, basically, I mean,
yeah,
depending on what orb you
yeah.
were,
So it's
usually.
2012. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I felt that coming, it was like just during that couple of years where I was going through a lot. And I had a lot of transitions during that time. You know, I went through so much. I had 4 kids, you know. And so once I transitioned there, because I really couldn't tune into anything at that point. Once I transitioned and had a space where I was calm, then I really sat with this. And I was actually doing a lot of research on Chiron because I was like, this doesn't feel good. I don't like this, you know? I didn't come here to feel this way. What does this mean? So I
Hmm.
did a lot of research on it, but I felt like, you know, there's got to be a way to fix it. I need a solution. And I couldn't find direct solutions the way that I wanted it, you know. So when I was doing the research for a while, I finally just put it down and I didn't know at this point that I could even speak to the planets or the planets would speak to me or anything like that. I had no idea if this was going to work or not. But I was desperate because I was getting triggered every 2 weeks. And it was on my heart because I got Chiron literally almost conjunct my Venus. And so I was getting triggered a lot. And I was like, I got to figure this out. So I literally sat and I meditated and I said, Chiron, I need to know, what is this? What do I do with it? Why did we bring it here? And how do we turn it to something good? Because I know if my soul chose this life and all, I believe our, when we're in soul form, we choose the planets, we choose the timing exactly to everything to give us the powerful tools that we have in our chart, plus to work through things. And so I called in, I said, I need to know what this is. I need to know the steps. I need to know everything there is to know. And over a month and a half, I got the answers. And then later I realized that Cheroklo was the one giving me the answers. And Cheroklo is Chiron's wife. And she's the one that healed him. So Cheroklo in your chart shows you where the tools are that you can utilize to heal, like what areas of your life. So I happen to have Jericho 22 degrees next to my Saturn in Aquarius.
Oh, I don't even know. This is complete news to me. Is that an asteroid? Is that a
Yeah,
moon?
Chiron, Jericho is Chiron's wife.
That's what I'm hearing. I didn't even know Chiron was married.
Yeah, she actually helped heal
Of
him.
course, the woman did it, right? I know. That's classic, and the man took
No.
took credit for it. It's
All right, let me
typical.
take over here. Let's do some spinning because she spins, and I used to spin all the time too. So,
So is she an asteroid near the comet, or is
um,
just that one of the
I would,
because
I
really
would say she's
Chiron
really
isn't.
close.
She's what?
I don't know. I don't know the astronomy on it.
Okay, great.
I should
That's
know.
a
But
fine.
it's
I
about
think it's an asteroid. Someone in
1.5
our chat is saying it's an
Yeah, she's
asteroid.
definitely an asteroid. And I think she's always close. I think she stays kind of close to Chiron. You know,
Okay,
I don't know if
interesting.
she has a little bit of different orbit because Chiron goes out and around through Saturn and Uranus. But
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know. I
I'll look
just,
it up. No, but this is great. You don't
yeah,
have to
let's
know
look it
anything. That's
up.
great.
I'd love
Just the fact that he's
to.
got some wife spinning around him is really fascinating. I had
Yeah,
no
exactly. And
blows
so,
my mind.
yeah, when I got this information, I was like, this makes sense. This makes really good sense. Like I can do something with this, Virgo moon, I want to do something to make it better. So I right there, then and there, I just remember going, well, whatever being this was that was channeling this through me must govern this area. And then I found out later that it was Cheroklo. But the answers that I got, and I just said, okay, you know what? I said, if this works, if I can do this with myself, then I will commit to doing this for clients until it's no longer needed. So I'm hoping one day we don't have our wounds
You're gonna
anymore.
live to 100, honey. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, so yeah, we'll be here and nobody will have wounds. We'll be like, wow, what's that like?
So I'm sorry, I was so stunned by it. How does Charlico relate to Chiron from a spiritual perspective? You said your Charlico is where in your
Cher-
chart?
my Cheroklo, first of all, Cheroklo's in Aquarius right now in the chart, but I have her at 22 degrees right next to my Saturn. Literally
Oh,
22
okay.
degrees. My Saturn is 23.
Okay. And how does she work with Chiron?
She actually healed Chiron. She's his wife. So it's just like if you're with a feminine, there's so many healing qualities you get. It sort of helps you through, like softens you. It just happens when she's in there. But basically, she has the tools to be able to heal, and she gave me those tools. So I started doing those tools on
Oh.
myself and then working with clients. And I put it into sort of like steps, of how to do it. So yeah, it's really beautiful. I actually did it and I was like, okay, I can't believe this. Like, I haven't been triggered since 2016. And
So you used the wisdom of Charlico to basically nurture the Chiron wound, is what it sounds like. It
it was
sounds like
the
she's sort of
exact
the
step.
medicine. Wow.
Yes, she's the medicine. And she gave me the exact steps of how to do it and how to help others do it. So
Wow.
basically, I'll give you a little bit of that right now. So she let me know that from past life, we had an experience. And so when we leave that life, the soul has its own evolutionary mission. Beyond this ego self and this personality, our soul has its own evolutionary mission. So it knows what it's been through and it knows where it's going to go next. And now it's going to decide. So what it does is that we bring the memory code of what happened to us here. And
Yep.
then we get the triggers, of that happening. So because we have that memory code and we're emitting, we're attracting. So when we're a young child, we're emitting that, I think it's like around 4 or 5. Everybody will usually remember back and go, yeah, I remember when I was 4 and I felt that like strong thing from my parent or whatever, they go through. And I believe that's kind of when you come online of life, like you start being responsible and noticing things and stuff. So we bring that forward. So there we're emitting it. So therefore we're attracting it. So also she told me that it's funny when she gave me this information, she put capital letters on my forehead of
Huh.
only. She's put only there. She says the only reason we brought it is to alchemize it and transmute it into our treasure. And most of us know this. So I was like, how? When I got that information, it's like, well, how? So when you have this information and you're emitting this and you go on in your life, it happens with a family member, it happens with a relationship, or just random people that trigger you. You agree to that, right? Because you know about Chiron as well.
Oh
That's
yeah, I mean we can talk
triggered you.
Chiron.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk Chiron. I want to hear from you too. So I'll just share this and then we'll
Yeah, sure. No, you got me captivated. We'll
okay.
trade.
So when we're emitting this, we're attracting it. And she told me that the people that are triggering you have made an agreement with their higher self, and your higher self has made an agreement that they were going to be the one to play that part and trigger you so that you would have the opportunity to alchemize it to get to your treasure.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting is that it's their higher self, so it's not really personal. And we all think it's so personal. Why did my dad talk to me this way? Why did he hurt me? And sometimes there's different stories where you have to do a little more inner work with people that have had abandonment and a lot of things in the real time. But so this energy comes through, and it's like you literally get triggered, and this agreement happens, before you even come here. And our job is to, when this trigger comes, this is what Tarot gave me. When this trigger comes, our job is to take full authority over our energy right there. That's step one. And it's funny because it's right in between Saturn and Uranus. And I'm like, that's totally Saturn, So to take full authority and not respond to that. And then whatever it is, like there's different scenarios. You could be on the phone with somebody, you could be on a text with somebody, you could be right in front of somebody, or you could be at lunch with somebody. So depending on the scenario, you have to take full authority of your energy because you're feeling the trigger. So you have to take full authority of your energy. Whether you go in the bathroom or where you go, you step away and you let everything go and you take full authority and you respond to yourself. There's no one more important to respond to than yourself. So you respond to yourself and you breathe and you neutralize it a bit because it can be very strong. So you can neutralize it. And then I always tell people, and this just came to me. So this part, as I was doing it with clients, it just came to me to put the right hand on the belly and nurture and honor the soul for what it's experienced. If our soul experienced that thing we're feeling, wow, that's deep, So really honor the soul for its experience and nourish the soul. And then this is the other part. This is a really interesting part for number 2, is you recognize, if you think about it, that sometimes when you get a trigger, you're feeling something way deeper than what that happened. Like
yeah.
That's how you know.
Inappropriate, like, out of
Yes.
proportion, exaggeration.
You
The
feel it
situation.
to the 10th degree, and that person only said something. It was like 1 degree, right? So that's how you know it's not current. Because if it was current, it would be happening exactly what you're feeling.
Right.
So for Chiron itself, it is these little triggers that come up, and then we feel it much deeper. So when you go to step 2, you put the hand on the belly, you honor your soul for its experience and nourish yourself a little bit there. And I go deeper into this with clients, but the fast track here is that, and then you acknowledge. The mantra is really good because you can remember this is not current. The trigger is current, but this deep feeling that I'm feeling is something that has happened to me. It's not happening to me now. And that's huge, because when we feel it, how do we know? Like, how do we know that we actually brought a memory code? Who would have known that? And that we could remember it by feeling it from a trigger. And sometimes we can even be home in ourselves and feel that. So you acknowledge that this is not current. that this is valid, this feeling is valid because you've experienced it before. So you honor that, you validate the feeling, but you acknowledge that it's not current. That helps a lot as you do that over and over, because you start unhinging yourself from that reality. It's already happened. You're here to transmute it. And number three, and I got this information from Chair Close, that everything is energy, everything is vibration, and everything, if you closed your eyes and you just thought about vibration, you would probably visualize it connecting to one another and moving, which is communication in some sense of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything is communication. This is why I agree with your theory of Virgo being the healer of the Chiron ruling Virgo.
Virgo? I was wondering if you knew that. Yeah.
I watch your show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so I believe that because Mercury is the thing they told me, is that so if everything's energy and everything's connecting, therefore communication must be very important. So they said you use the communication to transmute and alchemize. So number three is get yourself in the, I always tell my clients, get into the opposite vibration of that feeling. Like if you're feeling like, I'm not valued, I don't feel valued by that person, I feel shrunk by it, then you stand up strong and you just kind of quander up, fake it till you make it. However you can get yourself in the vibration of that you are valued by all, and just get in the opposite. It's the opposite, because imagine if you give it, like I always tell my clients, like if somebody's tapping you on the shoulder like a child and you're like this and you just ignore them, they'll go away. So if this trigger comes, you transmute it, you honor it, you get in with yourself, and then you respond. Like say if you're at lunch, you go back and you respond to somebody like, oh, what was that we were talking about? You'll see that they don't even remember, because their higher self is doing this. It's never personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it feels very personal. Yes.
It feels so personal.
And do you remember, so have you mapped out like the cycle of Chiron, in the sense that, pretty around 25 is when you oppose your Chiron. And usually I find that that's when I didn't start noticing the patterns of my Chiron until about 25, 26. But I didn't even know it was Chiron.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It could be, because that's kind of when I started doing therapy. So maybe I was drawn to do that. I haven't mapped that out, but I remember my Chiron return.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was off the air for 10 months. So
Oh,
that was my Chiron return.
You're Aries, Chiron Aries?
Yes. And not only that, but I had moved the year before to my Chiron line in Austin, Texas, and then went through my Chiron return by my Chiron line. And
Wow.
it gobsmacked me on the ground. Like I was paralyzed.
Yeah.
Now, when I psychically look at Chiron in a chart, first of all, I've come to realize that I honestly think the whole point of life is Chiron until 50. Like I think I've heard other spiritual practitioners say that God says we're children till we're 60, our second Saturn return, that we're meant to live to 120, but we've screwed up our DNA and all of our intelligence. We're meant to live to 120, which means you're middle-aged at 60, right? And that means you're a child till 50 until your Chiron return. Which now that I've gone through it, I believe it, because what I've realized is my Chiron issue was behind every problem I had in life. Everyone.
Yes.
It
That's
was like,
why it's so important.
I was fighting every time I made a decision. I was avoiding the Chiron wound.
Yeah.
Every decision I didn't realize was an avoiding of the Chiron wound, that I was trying to not let that happen again.
Yeah.
And then miraculously, Chiron forces you to face it head on your return, pretty much.
It sure does.
You manifest your worst fear, whatever it is. It's not fear. It's a wound. It's where you're most wounded. It's being hit where it hurts, basically.
Yeah. It's the trigger, actually, believe it or not. It just makes you feel much deeper with it. And sometimes it does have to knock you down to make you go through it and do it, And I believe if you haven't transmuted by 50 your Chiron, then it shows up in your body, because it wants you to transmute it. So
that's fascinating.
Yeah,
that's probably why people get so sick after 50.
That is exactly correct.
Because I've met clients who did not face their Chiron. I'm like, how did you make it through the return? Like it was so, but I have
I
Chiron in
was
Aries.
desperate.
So
Yeah,
Chiron in Aries is action, evidence, violence. Like it
yeah.
doesn't mess around.
Identity,
Yeah.
identity.
So yeah, my whole identity went off the air. People are like, where is he? He's disappeared. Like,
By the way, I don't know if you remember, but I commented on your page and I was like, congratulations.
oh no, but thank you.
So I was like, you took that time off and you did it. Like, that's hard to do. You were online for so long. And I was like, congratulations for good for you for taking the time off that you needed.
Well, my Chiron at 18. So, I have the step system and the numbers
Yeah, I
and
do.
so I
I'm
look,
still learning them, but yeah.
I'll share with you. I mean, your Chiron's at 12. So to me, that adds to a 3. So ultimately your Chiron had to do with a false belief around probably religion or, probably in a past life. Do you know your past life Chiron incident? What
Um,
Chiron?
I do. And it was because it's more for me, it's like my value and like
It
people,
hits your value. It's in the second house. Yeah.
yeah, it was my value. And I have a lot of past lives that I kind of remember. And one of them
Too.
was like communicating. I think that's one of my fears. Like I feel great with you now. It's like comfortable. But like when I just go out and do a video on my own, like you were doing before, I get very like nervous about it, even now still. And I have a feeling, it comes from that past life, even though I don't think that's my Chiron wound, but obviously it was a huge wound. But I think, yeah, I think it was. I wasn't valued. I remember, sometimes you'll say words and you'll say, like, I used to say, when I was in a situation, I'd be like, I feel like my hands are tied behind my back and I can't do anything. And I started remembering my past life where my hands were behind my back and I was getting hung and burned alive in the witch
Mm,
trials. Yeah, for speaking the truth that nobody wanted to hear. So that's why, like, because I'm an older generation, so I was a little nervous, like, to tell this stuff to people and would
gotcha.
it be valued for me or whatever. So yeah, but I don't know I think for me, it's so easy to do other people. And
Right.
I did transmute it for sure. And I did that, but I think it just maybe it was just not being valued for who I was, not being
Right.
seen or valued. But I realized one day I was in the shower and I was like, well, how could anyone else be able to know your value? You know your value deep down, all the things, but people can see this part, oh, they value that part of you, or they see this about you, they value, but they can't value you empirically. You can only do that with yourself. So it
Right.
really helped me. So I just stopped expecting value and just value myself. So that helped me a lot. But I don't know if I can relate that. That's a good question. It might have been when I got like hung for speaking and not being valued for that.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you backstage afterwards what I pick up on without outing your karma, but
Okay, good.
um
Oh, you
I'm
can.
very good at
Yeah.
I'm very good at seeing past lives in a reading when I'm in the presence of the person. And what I've noticed about the Chiron wound, so I get a series of pictures, and the Chiron wound is not one lifetime.
Oh,
It's it,
no,
it
exactly.
is a multiple wound that has happened over and over again. So you have Chiron and Pisces. A lot of Chiron and Pisces clients were pagan and burned as a witch, and then they were in the church and they burned witches, and then they were pagan and burned as a witch, and then they were so it's like I feel like by the time Chiron has shown up in your chart, your soul has been beat to hell over this issue. This is not a one for like a oopsie. It's not an oopsie. It's a try it again and I failed. I tried again and I failed. I tried again. And so I feel like that's why Chiron's so important in our life because it's this issue in yourself. Are like enough is enough. You know,
Yes.
your soul has had enough of this.
Yes. It's like this time I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
And
and I have to, and it's keeping me from growing, and it's keeping me from
yes.
being who
That's
I
why
am.
I'm so passionate about doing sessions because it's the very thing that stops people from progressing. And
Yes.
usually it's insecurity of some kind. And because they feel that deep wound, they think it's valid. It was just valid the past life. It's not valid this life. This life, yes, the trigger's here so that you could alchemize it and evolve it this time. in a
Yeah.
smaller way, than you went through. That time you didn't do it. You didn't get through it. And that's just what that was. But this time you're supposed to heal it and alchemize it so that next life it won't even be near you.
I do believe it heals. So on the other side of my Chiron wound, I'm healed. Like
Yes.
I am 100% healed from it. So I become the healer now. I was wounded. I was actually a wounded healer and then just a healer.
That's what I say. People say, "Oh, you're a wounded healer." I'm like, I don't like the sound of that, I'm
I
just
was wounded healer. Now I'm a healed wound.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I had to heal. I felt like I had to heal my wound before I could actually work with Chiron with other people, you
Yeah.
know.
The other interesting thing about Chiron is, so I believe that Chiron rules Virgo and Virgo is the sixth house. So I actually believe Chiron is what weaves reality. In fact, I don't know if you know the orbit of Chiron, but the solar system is at this like sort of like this disc, but Chiron goes up and over and down and under and up and over and down and over. So it literally makes the skin of our reality. And so if
Oh,
that's the case, our reality is woven together by our wound. Our reality is a expression of our wound. Our sixth house is our wound.
yeah,
Life is your wound.
yes. And interesting enough, the sixth house rules what we do, when we do step by step and routines, and that's where my north node is, by the way. So
Ooh, yeah.
all about the regimens and routines, and that's why when I got the answer to it, it was like, oh, I have to diligently, every time this wound comes up, I have to respond, breathe, respond to myself, breathe, honor my soul for its experience, understand this feeling is valid, it's just not current. And then shift it into the vibration. I usually tell my clients, shift it into the vibration of the opposite of that. So if you don't feel valued, just get into the, like, as if you are, and then approach it that way. It'll just disappear. I've had clients where one of my clients, she won't mind if I talk about it because she's, I won't say her name.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's cool. Exactly. So she was abandoned really badly as a child and definitely in the past life. And when I do clients, I can see past lives. It just takes me in a certain place for myself. There were certain periods of life that I was really tuned into that, where
Mhm.
I did a lot of ceremony, just with myself, no ayahuasca or anything. I've never done that, but yeah.
Never
So
either.
she had this abandonment thing, and she was working with it, and she was doing the work with me, and we did a few Chiron sessions. So she had been working with me, and she knew the steps, she knew the practice, and she had her fiance text her, and he said, "I don't want to do this anymore." And she was like, she was telling me, I was shaking. This is like the thing that she was like not wanting to have. And she said she sat back and she did the work and she got through it. And then she said she texted him back and she responded in the vibration of that she was loved and nobody was going to abandon it. And she said, "Oh, love, let's talk about it." And he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That was for my partner, a business partner." He texted the wrong person.
Wow.
It's interesting how, like, and even like I remember a time where I was getting triggered right in front of somebody that I loved, and they were like yelling at me, and I was getting triggered during the practice. And I remember I didn't know what to do because I'm right there in front of them and I'm trying to practice. And I just remember going, "Oh, look at that beautiful tree." I promise you, he turned around and looked at the tree and was like, "Oh, wow, that is," and turned around. And I just was perceptive to see what was going to happen. It stopped because it's not the person doing it. They don't even know why they're doing it. It's the same thing I did with my father. My father and I had these triggers where he's an Aquarius too, and he was like, this. And I would go, "No," because he taught me, to be in my own, have my own right about myself, but not with him. So I would fight for that right. And I would like him and I would bump heads and then I would leave. It was the whole pattern. Well, this time I was pregnant and I was like, I want to go home and I want to like fix this with my father. And I think Jericho just channeled through me because I remember it happening. We had a scenario, and there was the pattern. And I couldn't go anywhere because I was staying there pregnant. So I just sat down in the living room, and he went and walked back in his room. And I said, "Dad," I said, no matter what happens or no matter what you ever say to me, I'm going to love you. You could cut my arm off and I'm going to be right here loving you. And he looked at me like I was crazy. But from that moment on, we never had the trigger. We never had the pattern. And we had it our whole life. Everyone knew it. And we had a great relationship after that. So, and I think I felt intuitively that he was like, oh, thank God this isn't here anymore, because he didn't know how to repattern it. I figured it out and repatterned it, and it was gone. So we can transmute this, even with the people, even with our family. I know a lot of clients just like, I'm not talking to my mother. Every time I talk to her, she just triggers me. And I just, they do this work and then they're able to figure it out with their mom because they're not responding to it anymore. So it really
Yeah.
does turn things around. Yeah.
Yeah. So like if a parent has you at like age 24, 25, their Chiron will oppose your Chiron, if I'm
Oh,
not mistaken. So it's like, so a lot of times I find that I find if there's aspects to Chirons, like a square to the Chirons or an opposition to the Chiron, then it's like your wounds step on each other. Like when you're dancing, you each step on each other's sore toe. It's an interesting aspect.
see what, because I had one of my children, this is what the experience was, and they might have been 25 when it happened. They might have
Yeah.
been to do that. That's interesting. I never
Figure,
knew that. Yeah.
yeah. So, but I find too, like usually married couples are stepping on each other's Chirons like all the time.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. Well, I'll get into like if I do couple counseling, which I do sometimes, I'm like, she's not being stupid. This is her sore toe. He's not being this way. This is his thing. You
Yes.
keep doing this to this, and you two keep end up, and
Yeah,
it has nothing
exactly.
to do with has nothing to do with the grocery bill.
Yes, I've done that. I've done couples therapy, and I'm like, well, she feels this, she feels sensitive here. And once they know, they're like, oh, they're so
Yeah.
loving to each
They
other.
didn't even know. They were like projecting it onto the phone bill
Yeah.
or
Oh,
money
yeah.
or kids or
Something
commute or
random. Yeah. And it ruins so many relationships. I mean, relationships have been a mess. Hopefully we're coming into some positive stuff about relationships, but I definitely went through that with my long-term relationship with my children's father. I definitely went through that. I remember we would be, having a disagreement, and I would literally feel like my throat was choked, like I would have to cough, like I would feel like I'm choking. Like he would, like I was thinking that he was stopping me from communicating, and it was before I knew any of this. So it was not a good scene. Yeah,
interesting.
that really happens.
The other thing I'll share too is that the degree numbers of the Chiron are the wounded states of awareness in the client.
Mm.
So yours are 1 and 2. So the sun and the moon are the two wounds for a 12-degree Chiron,
Oh, wow. Oh, gosh, that's so interesting. Oh my God, my
isn't it?
mind is blown.
We're
Okay.
just catching on. Let's watch your mind get blown. No, this is
Gosh.
fun training. Yeah. Yeah. And so any 1 or 2 in your chart in any planet has that Chiron wound infused into the planet.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So it spreads like a virus.
Yeah, that is so interesting. Oh my gosh.
So
That's really
looking at
helpful. Thank you.
my
That's helpful.
pleasure. Yeah. Two pros sharing some information.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Chiron too is, so I think Chiron is step 11. I have this step system. And so the final manifestation is Virgo, the 6th house, or step 11. It's what we end up becoming. And so I find that what we become our wounds. It's what we become. But the other thing there is that our wounds become so real, just like Virgo. It's like everything is so real.
Yes.
There's no subtlety.
Yeah, it feels so real. And most of the time, because of that, people are trying so hard to, like, if there's an issue and you're getting triggered, you're trying to fix it so badly with the person.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to fix it with them. You're supposed to
Right.
fix it with you. So a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, I'm trying to talk to them, because it's not going to get, there's a lot of things that can get figured out by talking to someone, but
Yeah.
Chiron is not one. You have to go inside and shift it. And that's beautiful, because that means you hold the power to heal it.
Yes. You have
It
to
makes a lot.
catch
What's 11 degrees?
11 degrees. What do you mean?
But what does 11 degree represent in your steps?
Virgo Chiron.
Oh, 11 degrees.
So 11 is Virgo. So there's only 2 degrees ruled by Chiron, 11 and 29, which adds to an 11.
Oh, wow. Oh
So
my God.
the 29th degree is Chiron and 11 is healed. And there's no 11 in the middle, which is interesting
Wow.
as
That
far
is,
as in the system. Yeah. And the what I always say is I love myself some more, which is the only way to get through the Chiron wound. To me,
yeah.
is you just have to keep loving yourself. But your point about this is a modern issue that everyone is trying to change the world to heal themselves instead of healing themselves to change the world.
Exactly.
Everyone, politics, business, you know,
Yeah.
Twitter X, like everyone's just like,
If we could
I,
all just tune in and heal our own wounds, it wouldn't be created because I believe we're the ones that's creating. It's a reflection of us, you know?
yes, and
Even
perpetuating.
Bashar says that. He says your government is you.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I just found him recently and I'm finding him fascinating. It's so funny how
Oh
we
yeah,
don't.
I know Bashar. I lived right down the street from him.
Oh, really?
I've known him since I think 2009 or 2008. I met him and then I went to a couple of his shows and then I had a friend that did meetings and they just gave me a tape and we listened and I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, he's a great channel.
Yeah, great personality.
Yeah,
So when it comes to channeling, are you channeling a specific personality? Obviously you channel Chiron's wife, which
yeah.
is cool. Does she sit in your chair? You do her
I
hair?
know that. Oh, okay. Yeah,
But she
she
has fabulous
I
hair.
can give people the tools, and that's what she did for Chiron. But I usually, when I'm doing a session, like it depends. Like if I call out to something that I want, I work a lot with Archangel Michael to clear and do a lot of that when I'm doing my readings. But a lot of times I have this ability to when I'm working with a client to be able to feel into another astrologer told me that I was a psychic surgeon because I have the
Mm,
ability to feel where someone's like unaligned and then help align that so they can get,
mhm.
aligned. And so usually I'm channeling, it depends. Like I've done mediumship where someone's father came in and I don't offer it because I don't really prefer it. I mean, I'll do it if I need to and I feel called to, but it's not something I want to offer because it's kind of like they want to stick around and I don't want to do that. So, but
Oh, I
I'll,
gotcha. Interesting.
yeah,
The
yeah.
guests that won't go
Hold
home,
on, you
huh?
like it. Yeah. And they're like, oh, that
Like,
was cool.
okay, well, it's getting
Yeah,
late.
yeah, exactly. It's time to go,
Yeah.
And but like if I'm sometimes it's different. It's always different. So it depends. Like I'll show usually right before I get in a session with the client, I'm already tapped in to whatever wants to come through.
Yeah,
And
me too.
sometimes, yeah. And then sometimes when I'm with them, some channel will come in, whether my ear will ring or I'll feel energy. And sometimes I get colors and I can feel if it's feminine or masculine because your right is the masculine and the left is the feminine. So I get kind of clues of their guides. And if the guides come up, that means when that comes up, that means they're supposed to kind of tap in and kind of communicate with the guide. But mostly it's their higher self and any spirit or being that's working with them that comes through me with my guides and then my higher self and their higher self has to agree to that before the session even that I can do that.
Right. I would
Yeah,
imagine that's true, which
yeah,
is how they found you. I mean, the fact
yeah,
that they find you is probably as a result of that agreement,
that's
I find.
exactly correct. Everybody says that, but like I just felt like I needed to connect with you. It's never like, it's usually never from me trying to put myself out there. They just come. And
Yeah,
they
same.
always have the same Chiron as me. They always have Chiron in Taurus or Chiron in the second house or something.
Oh, interesting.
Most of the time, yeah. I've had different people, especially lately. I have a Chiron in Aquarius that I just started working with. That's really interesting. The feeling.
How do you interpret that, Chiron and Aquarius?
Because Aquarius, I'm an Aquarius, so I can tell you firsthand. We feel a little kooky, like you guys think we do. We feel a little weird and we feel like we don't know if we fully belong with who or something like. So it's not but feeling like you don't feel like you belong. And so I've been just channeling it from her. I didn't know before this, but when I got with her, I realized, oh, that's playing out in all the Aquarius themes. So whether it's you don't feel you belong, or you feel kind of weird and people aren't really getting you and things like that, that's what I feel with that one.
Yeah, it's a social displacement. Well, psychically, when I look at Chiron, so to me, to have a Chiron wound in Aquarius, if it's above, like 10 degrees,
Mhm.
it was from something high vibrational. So that wound usually happened high vibrational. I find like anything above 20 degrees is like ancient Atlantis wound, Elmuria wound,
Oh,
wounds that came from like being a high priestess in a temple. Like they were playing with vibrations and they got burned energetically. And there was a social consequence, yes. But I draw in a lot of wounded
so
wizards
so above 20 is what oh
because
wow.
that's so because I don't think the earth was at, I don't think you can be, earth hasn't been in a master degree of Aquarius like that for 26,000 years, the age of Aquarius. There's no way you could have been wounded in this high vibrational energy unless the earth was at high vibrational energy. So to
Yeah,
me, all those 20 and above Chirons and Aquariuses, they're all Lemuria, Atlantis wounds, coming back. And a lot of those Atlantis people are either the bad guys again or
yeah,
the good guys trying to stop the bad guys again.
yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Oh my gosh, that's a whole new. My brain is going, I need to learn these steps because I mean, I know like isn't one and two. You know how I do? I hear your steps, and I've looked at the Sabian symbols and stuff like that for degrees, but I always kind of do numerology. I always like go, okay, one and two is three, that's belief, and
Yep.
then like do it like that, and a seven is like I always do it when it comes to numerology because I did study numerology years ago. I'm not an expert, but I did kind of dive into it a while back. So I always look at the degrees like that. Does that connect?
100%. That's the step system.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. So the degrees are completely numerologically accurate, although I bring them down to planets. So,
Okay.
1 and 2 is the sun and moon or
Oh,
heart and feeling. But what's interesting is it shows you that how consciousness adds up to consciousness. So a heart and a feeling is what makes a belief,
oh,
right?
wow.
Right. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so it tells you how to build consciousness. And then it gets really interesting too, because like you could so 7 is spirit. So you can get to a 7 by an emotion and a thought, 2 and a 5, or you can get to
Mm,
spirit by opening 6, your heart, step 1. So there's
mm.
like, you can see there's other
I
ways
think
to
I do
step.
that one because I'm a
You're
wait,
16 rising and Mercury 16.
yeah, and I'm a seven numerology.
Oh, that makes total sense.
And I find myself it's the heart that drives the oh, let me channel this in. It's like opens for the compassion for the person. That's what makes me do the work. And
Yeah.
it really does happen that way. That is so fascinating.
That's really how 16 works. 16 is that your heart is open and your heart is reading their heart.
Wow.
And so you're getting a spiritual read from the heart.
Arts intelligence.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Super interesting. Yeah.
I
Fun
think it's
stuff.
so much better just like aligning these steps with it for clients.
You should. I'll
I'm gonna
help you.
start studying your step system.
Yeah. Oh, I'm writing my book. I guess you're writing yours. Is that
Yeah.
true? What's
Yeah,
your book
it's
about?
about writer. It's all about Chiron and it's about my experience with clients. It's about my experience and I give the steps and I talk, I'll dive deep. I haven't fully written it. I just found a writer. So I've got a lot of recordings. So it's a little not ready yet, but yeah, it's all about the experience that I've had and my channeling of what this even is and what we're here to do with it. So it's going
Yeah.
to be
And
interesting.
mine's about the step system. So let's trade autograph books. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And then go, hey, you guys need both of these.
Yeah. I think they'll help. I mean, there's a lot of intelligence being downloaded right now,
Yes.
a whole new wave, I think, of light workers and channeling now. So it's super exciting.
Yeah.
Um, and people, so let's talk about how people can get you at hairintelligence.info. That's
Yes.
your main website.
Yes.
You do Chiron readings, right?
I do. I have, if you go to the website and you click on shop, you can go down to consults. And on that page, you'll see a hair consult. If you want to do that with me, you'll see an astrology session and you'll see a 15-minute free if you want to just get on and connect and see where you want to work with or what you're going through. Maybe I'll say do a hair consult or something just for a little exploration. And then I do the Chiron. And I actually offered Sirius 20 for a discount.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So she's offering a 20% discount on a 90-minute session with Sirius 20 as the code.
Yes, and that's for Chiron.
For Chiron. Yay. What is a hair consultation? I mean,
Hair consult.
you talk to my hair?
Yes, I talk to your hair. But really what happens is we go in, I'll pull up the chart. So because most people come to me when they're having issues, especially during COVID, a lot of people started shedding. And so I really help with hair growth.
Oh, like hair loss, hair.
I never say, people think I'm about hair growth, but I never say hair loss because I don't want to project that. So
Okay, fair enough.
Get a lot more clients if I did, but I just refuse to say hair loss. I talk about hair growth, but yes. And so they'll come to me and we'll get on, we'll get on a video face to face and I'll have their chart up. And so we'll start to talk and they'll tell me all about their hair journey, and you would believe the stories that people have. My mother used to hit me with the brush, like it goes deep. It goes deeper than you think, and they have trauma about the way their hair looks. And I always find clients with a lot of Leo or rising Leo or moon Leo or a Leo sun. They might have a darker color hair, but they try to lighten the front.
I always have.
They want like that lighter, glowing like the mane.
That sunshine, baby. Yeah.
Yes. And I always tell them, let it get healthy first. We'll come back to that. But I want them to know you can have that because that's your thing. And I never want to take that away. But let's get it healthy first. So we'll go into their journey. I'll give them a protocol. I'll give them a regimen. I'll find their solution. I'm really solution oriented. That's when I do anything, it's all about the intention is the solution. And I'm pretty good at finding solutions because I
believe that. Yeah. So, well, Chiron's at the top of your second house. So you literally make a business from healing wounds and from Chiron. Chiron is your business and healing is your business. Yeah. Yes, that's amazing. And so can we get your hair products on your website as well? Like tell us a little bit about your hair products. I mean,
yeah, I'd love to. If you click on the shop again, you can go to shop all and you'll see all the products on there. Everything is organic. And when I worked in a long hair care salon is when I started growing my hair. But I was always very natural and eating natural. And I was a vegan for years. I'm not anymore, but I was for years. And I really do like not a lot of meat because I'm naturally a vegetarian. I'm a blood type A and they kind of do better with just vegetables. But I tried to use the treatment they were using, but there was chemicals. And I knew the owner, they're amazing and I love them. And I got inspired by them. And I attribute a lot of the things that inspired me for hair in there as well, is that I grew up in it. But I remember going, wow. And I remember thinking like, people are coming in to get treatments every 2 weeks and paying like $300 or $400. And I thought, let me make something in a bottle for people that they can do at home for $100 or, and then they can just do their own treatment. It's nice to have someone else do it, but if you can't get there. And I knew that I had to create something for myself because the hair always needs to be nourished. It gets dry, it needs nourishment, the follicles need nourishment. So I decided to start focusing on that. And I started making friends with ingredients for quite a few years before I created the formula. So all my products are organic. They absorb, they really feed the follicles. They help with, I don't have color on my hair and I'm 60.
Wow.
And I've been using my treatment for 20 years. And
holy moly. So you think so you think gray hair is part of hair's health?
When gray hair, if you get gray hair earlier, that means lack of minerals. So that's why formula I have minerals in there. And I created my formula to absorb. So it's a very powerful organic product. It's not like I tried to find products on the market and they weren't enough. So I made this formula and I'm really proud of it. My line is called the Blue Rose line, and it was inspired by my father who passed away, and I painted the painting. If you see the products, you'll see a little blue rose painting there, and that was something that I painted and kind of channeled when my father passed away, and he's inspired me from spirit, to do the business. But everything is organic, and everything is the treatment is like the star product, and that's the one that helps with regrowth and really making your follicles thrive and really strengthening and adding depth of color to the hair that you have. Even if you do have gray hair, it'll make that color look even better and shinier. So it works on strengthening the hair, and it works on feeding those follicles all the nutrients it needs to thrive.
Yay.
I'm
And
really
our audience is going to love that because it's hard to
Oh,
find products you can believe in, especially now,
really, it is.
and also there's so many products out there that are trying to do stuff not like you, but just organic products. And until you get in front of them, they feel their energy and you hear an interview with them, your soul just knows, like a reading, like, okay, she knows what she's
Yes.
talking about. You are a hair goddess.
Yes. So much. Yes. I love it. I love it. And I love, love, love helping others. Because, a lot of what you may not know, but you probably know because you're a Leo. But like women get really insecure about their hair. If they start losing hair, it's like a big trauma for them. And so
Horribly.
it is such an honor for me to connect with them and say, look, you're going to be fine. Let's just do this and do that. And then to have people, I don't know if you guys look at my Instagram, Hair Intelligence. I have videos on there of clients talking about, how they were going from here and they were losing hair and now they're growing hair and it's thicker. And I've got a lot of testimonials there and reviews on the site as well. So I help a lot of people and I'm so proud of that.
Bravo to you. And yeah, and I think with COVID, there's a lot of hair issues happening from
Yes.
because
Well,
of COVID.
anything
So
that happens with the body, like I believe that since Uranus has been in Taurus, because it rules the nervous system, I think everybody's been having thyroid issues.
oh, that's interesting. I've seen that trend.
Yes, and that, I believe that's because of Jupiter and especially Uranus and Taurus rules the throat. So a lot of people have come for that, and I've helped them through that. And that all the body, like people say, well, thyroid messes with your hair, and I say no, not feeding your hair messes with your hair because your hair
Mm.
gets the nutrients last. So when you're feeding it properly, if you have, like when I was pregnant with 4 babies, most women, it's very common that after they have their baby, they start to shed hair. It's just like because the baby takes a lot. But if you're nourishing your hair the whole time, then your hair has enough to deal with the stress of what you're getting drained of by the baby. I had 4 babies and never lost hair. In fact, I was growing my hair in my ankles.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, people used to ask me, how do you deal with your hair and all the kids? And I used to say this, I wish I would have done it and took a photo, but I didn't. I used to say, oh, I just braid 4 braids and they hang on and we just go for a walk.
Beautiful. Well, Karen, it's been such a pleasure. Please stay backstage so we can chat after this real
Oh,
quick. Okay, great. And thank you for coming. Everyone, it's hairintelligence.info. Karen Croney, thank you so much. This is our first encounter. We're going to have many, girl. And I'm going to
yes.
be in LA at some point, so we'll have to meet.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
Let's go out and chat about Chiron and his
Absolutely.
wife.
Yes, 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 yes.
All right, have a
Oh,
great night. I'll see you
thank
soon
you
here
so much for
backstage.
inviting me,
Thank
Kristen.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Beautiful. I love that. She has actually Capricorn rising, but she's got a Leo rising hair. Let me just tell you that. That was really wonderful. Thanks. It was nice talking to her. I'm so grateful. And for the record, she reached out to me on Instagram. Was like, "Hey, I think I'd have some stuff to share with your people." So, y'all don't be shy if you feel like you have something to share with our community. We'd love to have you on. I think it's time to share all this intelligence, whether it's hair intelligence, Chiron intelligence. I didn't even know Chiron had a wife. I'm totally blown open here with new information. So check her out, book her while she is available. I bet you she's going to blow up after this because Chiron's a big deal. And Chiron and Aries people, Gen Xers, get a Chiron report. Let me tell you, Chiron is intense. I talk about Chiron in my readings. But I am very booked right now. So I want to hand off the fortune, meet with her and get on top of your Chiron and find out where Chiron's wife is in your chart. I'm going to look it up after I get off the air here. So I am so grateful. You know, we at Serious Joy are in the middle of the 40 days of past lives and karma right now. And this program, it did start this week, but it's not too late. Honestly, if you want some help working through your karma, even if you hop on now, which is 4 days in, we're 5 days in, we did step 0. All it is a bunch of questionnaires about your childhood at first. So you haven't missed anything yet. If you've never been a Serious Joy subscriber, it's just $3.99 for the first month and then $19.95 after. That means I will give you 40 days of past life counseling for $24. No one offers something like this, and it is life-changing. You will see. You will see how life-changing it is. You will also heal from your childhood, something we did not expect to happen, but our subscribers are reporting that they're healing from their childhood. Serious Joy, if you don't know, is the most accurate astrology service on the internet or on the earth, as far as I'm concerned. We have so many different programs. It's well worth a try. Last week, by the way, we did have our special self-study hall with Robbie Hunt. She did the secrets of the 12th house, which is essential to understanding your karma. So that video is available right now. You just click self-study hall. It's also available right off the main menu in 40 Days of Past Life and Karma. This week, we're going to do the Golden Mega Monthly Address with an interview at the end. I'm going to go through the whole month of March and what you can expect for March. It's going to be fabulous. We're also going to have our mega monthlies available for individual download at seriousjoy.cloud, seriousjoy.cloud. And you know, I'm going to have to do some sort of a special offer here. I'm just going to do right now. I'll just say, use the same discount code. Give me some time to set it up. I won't have it set up till Saturday, but I'm just going to do right now live. If you put in Serious20, the same code as Hair Intelligence, we'll give you a free mega monthly report. So that'll be starting tomorrow at seriousjoy.cloud. Use Serious20. I'll give you a free mega monthly report. That's about $6, $7 for free. You can download. I'd like you to test what I do every month. It's fabulous. I'm very good at it, and I love for you to try it. And there's so many people who watch this show every week, and you have not experienced me in a private setting. I'm different. I say things I don't say on the air. I get a little deeper. I get a little more honest. I get a little more frank. I'm very edited on the air, actually. So give it a try at seriousjoy.cloud, the mega monthly address, and I will give you a free mega monthly for Serious Joy 20. Serious 20. Sorry, Serious 20 will be the code there. We'll probably limit it to like 500 or something like that. So you'll want to get on that. Now, sharing is caring. We are so grateful. If you would just share Namaste to Live with your friends and family, or perhaps have them watch a horoscope. That would be so nice of you. This is the time people need to have the wisdom, and you know my heart is in it for the good. I do this free every week. I have for 18 years. I've been on the air. This is my 18th year. I'm a step 18 Taurus. Some people do like to donate. If you do, that's great. It's paypal.me/Sensei Christopher. So we do appreciate donations as well. That's nice of you, mighty kind of you. We also have a Facebook club. The Facebook club is at seriousjoy.club. We also have a Chiron study group in the Facebook club. And that Chiron study group is beyond Chiron, by the way. They have tarot, they have human design, and there's a great group of ladies who are helping and coaching for free as a spinoff of the Facebook club, seriousjoy.club. By the way, any light workers, you may advertise your services in the club. You may do lives to the club. We've got about 17 or 18,000 people in the club right now. So if you're having a hard time finding your audience, that's what we're here to do, is share our audience and really vet those people who are serious about their joy. If you want to follow us on social media, just come to our link tree at seriousjoy.social. You'll have links to everything there, including prior interviews with me and getting on our email list. We do one email list a week, one email, marketing email that summarizes everything, give you links to the horoscopes and whatnot. And if you'd rather listen instead of watch, we're on Spotify, we're on Stitcher, we're on Apple Podcasts. I'll probably be spreading that out a little bit later this year into more areas. I want to say a special thanks to our producer, Noel Way. Special thanks to our casting director, Mara Moon. Our director, Sarah Lyman. Thank you to our teaching staff, Robbie Hunt, Kristen Ryder, Devin Doer, Joe Zaman, and Heather Exposito. And of course, a special thanks to all of our super friends in the chat. Iggy, Neptune Girl, Jamar, Christine Kelly, my soul brother, Daryl Blankenship, Moo, Cat Ryder, Michelle Camper, Michelle Bell. Also, Erica just had her own birthday. Experimental Elementals, love to see you there. Lori Ship, Nikki Anderson, Libran Lauren, Princess Coffee Bean, Jill Louise, Margot Melia, and soon to be many more. All right, friends, we are so happy to have you as a part of our spiritual family. We're going to rock this thing until Pluto goes into Pisces. That's 25 years from now. So stay tuned with us. I'll see you 1 week from now with more. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be.